Good evening, everybody. Good evening indeed. Welcome back to the SimGrid, and of course, welcome to our ever so wonderful anniversary party here at one of the world's most legendary circuits. We are here at Suzuka. It is very exciting to be here. My name is Chaz Draycott, and I am so delighted. As you can see there, you know what I'm going to say. I'm so delighted to finally be working alongside David Christie of Camber Media, the man himself, David, it's been a long time coming, mate. But to be honest, the main fact of the matter here is the fact that it feels like SimGrid's been around forever, and it's only been a year, but it's gone by very quickly.
I cannot believe it is only a year old. It certainly feels like at least 18 months since I've been on the script here. But Chaz, it's amazing that we finally get to work together. I think tonight is going to descend into hilarity and chaos, and what better night for it to happen than our very first birthday? It's been a heck of a journey, and you know what? I look back to our very first broadcast and where we are now. What a trek it's been.
Oh, it's been amazing. You know, I remember first being approached by David to work alongside him with the first broadcast we did, which I believe was a 3-hour event at Kyalami. And yes, that does indeed seem like forever ago. But also, you know, like you say, the trek on the way here with all the different events and series and everything that's been going on, the whole community has grown so much, and around just an incredible sim. You know, it has to be described as that. You know, it's nothing short of an incredible sim with the amount of versatility that it shows. You can see the weather here as well from the B-roll footage at Suzuka. We also have incredible sort of strategies that get thrown into these races because of all the changes we get on Assetto Corsa Competizione. And of course, we always have our wonderful Mike Yao behind the scenes working on all of the beautiful camera shots you will see tonight as well. And to be honest, one of the main concerns for him, really, David, is the fact that his PCs might melt with 100 cars on the grid as we have this evening. It's going to be absolute bedlam, isn't it?
It's going to be just craziness. I mean, I don't think I've actually seen yet a 100 car race in Assetto Corsa Competizione. I think I've seen a couple of YouTubers when they've been part of it, but I've never actually seen it from a spectator's point of view. It's going to be absolutely mega. It really is.
And obviously, 2 classes this evening. We have GT3 and GT4 machinery, so plenty to focus on. Traffic, I mean, even if you just had GT3 cars out there, traffic would be an issue. Suzuka isn't the easiest place to overtake, but it's also not the easiest place to lap a car without losing time, is it?
The problem with Suzuka is that it's a track that everybody thinks that they're very good at, and in reality, not very many people are. It's one, especially with the GT4s, that it can very quickly expose your ability or / lack of ability in rapid fashion, because those things understeer for days. You try and take it down through the hairpin or into spoon curve, and you're in for a bad time. So yeah, it's going to be an absolutely hilarious race tonight. It's one of those light-hearted ones, but we say that, Chaz, we know as well as anyone that a lot of the guys and girls out here tonight are going to be taking this quite seriously. They do want to win.
Oh, there's a lot of bragging rights on the line here. You know, if you can be the driver that won the SimGrid's anniversary event, it's not going to come round often, is it? Let's face it. It's going to be a real amount of bragging rights this evening, and I cannot wait to see what drivers will put on the line to get that victory, because let's face it, around here you really have to chuck a lot at it, as you've seen. I mean, there was obviously the legendary moment between Ayrton Senna and Alan Prost. Talk about chucking something at it. How about an entire McLaren? That's a commitment, isn't it? But I think we're going to see a lot of that tonight. Do you think there's any corners in particular that are going to catch people out this evening more than others?
The thing with Suzuka is that it is massively momentum based. From that first corner, as you're going through Snake and through Anti-Bank Curve up through Dunlop, if you've not got that section right, your lap is in severe trouble. I think obviously you're looking at things like 200R, 130R, but my favourite, my big highlight to watch tonight is Casio Triangle. Watching cars just absolutely send it left, right and centre like there's no tomorrow. It's always a great fun place to watch, but tonight, yeah, that's going to be pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it certainly is, and especially with people trying to get by using traffic as well. We might see some what we call doing a Zonta, as Hakkinen and Schumacher went around a backmarker at Spa years and years ago. We may see some of that this evening, because sometimes, while you do see traffic as a hindrance most of the time for drivers, they will use it as an advantage. They will pick an opportunity where the car in front of them, if they're chasing for position, say in GT3, and there's a GT4 car in front of them, then they might hold them up and then cause a bit of issue. But speaking of traffic, Lively.
Chaz, I was just about to say about using things. You know, like when you go 10-pin bowling, you get the option of using the bumpers. That's what the GT3 cars are going to use the GT4 cars for tonight.
Yeah.
Just bumpers to go around the corners.
Yeah, someone's going to be pulling that really hard to pull lever at the back just to say, right, get them sides up, lad, and then sort that out. I wonder if they've all got the bowling shoes on, because I think they might need it this evening. But yeah, in fairness, though, I think traffic's going to be interesting. You're absolutely spot on. The Casio Triangle is going to be unbelievably difficult to get right. I know a good friend of yours as well, Peter Mackay, came out with one of the greatest puns I've ever heard when he told me that a move down the inside into the Casio Triangle was, excuse me, calculated.
I never heard that. That is amazing.
I fell off my seat laughing when he came out with that one. But a favourite of mine is the Degners. The Degners are a very interesting bit of circuit because you have to have so much bravery. We're watching Denise Pope just go around here, just into this right-hander. This is the first Degner. It's a kink to the right. There's a really sharp curb on the inside, but you'll see a lot of cars using the runoff on the left-hand side, and then all of a sudden you get this false sense of, wow, look at all the grip, because all of the camber comes towards you as it chucks the car around to the second bit. It's a pair of corners with a bit of everything, isn't it? There's bravery, there's lateness on the brakes, using all of the road, but also the car behaving in many different ways in just a couple of seconds.
Yeah, and that's going to be exaggerated tonight because obviously the sim is designed to cope. We're around about maybe say 30, 40 cars, about 50 cars, but it can be pushed to its limits. But then you start seeing things like the cars just... They're not as nuanced around. It makes it hilarious to watch. But I mean, Degner is going to be a great place to watch. You just mentioned that there, especially on the run down from Dunlop, and it comes back to that first part of the circuit. It's all about building up that momentum, and if you've got that run through Dunlop, you can possibly fire it through the first of the Degners, and then try and late on the brakes into the second one. But again, that is one of the big flashpoints of the circuit. It's got a lot of potential for things to go wrong. So you see here as the car just coming through the left-hander at Dunlop, and this is exactly what you were saying here on the run down to Degner. It's so easy to be too late on the brakes, take too much of the curb on the right-hand side and go flying off to the left there. But Felix Rupert here, cracking job, and that's exactly how you do it.
And that's it. And like you said before, this place is all momentum based. You have to carry so much speed through pretty much every corner here, except for, of course, that hairpin, which is vital in itself, because if you get a good run out of there all the way around the long right-handers here, interesting that moto chicane as well, which I've never seen used. I'd love to see someone chuck that in for a laugh one day. But spoon curve as well. If you carry a little bit more momentum than the car that you're chasing into spoon curve, just that little bit later on the brakes can either make you look like a hero and get it right, or it can over-rotate the car. It depends on how you've got your brake bias set up, because some people run it very rearward, and the car just gradually steps out and then they overcorrect. I mean, we've seen cars spit out to the right there a lot in our time, not just in sim racing, but of course watching real-world motorsport as well. It's just a proper, what I'd call a proper circuit, because there's no straight 90-degree right, straight 90-degree left and all that stuff. It's all bendy all the time. Drivers really have to focus here, don't they?
There's a nice mix, just to add into what you were saying there. It is a fantastic old school circuit in the terms of how it's laid out. It's got character. It feels like it's its own thing. So again, you see a lot of the modern circuits for motorsport are they feel like they're copy paste jobs of other tracks that exist around on Highland. I got completely distracted there by Harry Spears' excuse of a livery that is on that car. I do not approve of that. I'm not a big manga fan, but there's obviously a lot of work gone in there. But back to what I was saying about the charisma that Suzuka has. It is a unique track. There is nothing else in the world that is like Suzuka, and long may it continue. It is a fantastic track. The drivers love it, and yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Now, just looking at the times at the top, we have identical times for Whitehead and Ryan Meenan for first position at the moment, a 1:59.250, which is rapid in itself, to be fair. In practice, we only had a few cars, I think, under 2 minutes, so that is really, really quick. But identical times from at the moment. We just need Jacques Villeneuve to come out of nowhere and set a third identical time, and then we'll be looking at her F97. But if you look down that order, as another time goes in on the board there, there's only 13 of them covered by a second at the moment, and I think that's going to get longer and longer. I think by the end of this, the 23 cars that we can see on the left-hand side of our screen there will be covered by less than a second. What do you reckon?
Easily, absolutely easily. I think we'll be looking to book here down in 21st place for that. So yeah, I think that we're going to get a lot more cars within a second there as we see Matthias Kvyat in the Ferrari. That's a gorgeous looking Ferrari. I do love that real life livery on that thing.
Yeah, that's a tasty looking machine, that, isn't it? And you know, I'll be completely honest, a lot of these liveries new to me as well, and as you know from being a commentator, you have this sort of automatic appreciation for liveries because it's how a car can be identified before you can see a number on it. So we have to be able to see them very, very well and notice them from a distance. But yeah, you can see that there are all multitudes of them. Now that is an angry looking car. Apostolarkis, which is the number 61 McLaren, looking very sleek and very, very Batmobile-esque as it goes down towards turn 1. And that's another corner in itself that's very difficult, especially in a mid-engined or rear-engined car. Things like your McLarens, your Ferraris, your Porsches. With a car like that, with the engine slung towards the rear, you get that oh-so-famous pendulum effect with all the weight at the back of the car trying to swing around and overtake the front wheels if you just chuck it in that little bit too hard. So people are really going to have their wits about them there, especially if trying to outbrake people. And I suppose the main problem in turns 1 and 2 is if you outbrake yourself and then you try and make too much of an adjustment, you can just loop the car and then suddenly you've got to wait while everyone else filters past, haven't you?
You certainly do, and obviously rejoins is going to be one of the things that they're going to be looking out massively for tonight. It is obviously a bit of fun, but it will still be the same rules and regulations as all SimGrid's events. What you'll see, quite honestly, down at first corner with those cars that maybe don't have the setup properly done or really aren't getting used to the car is that they'll brake, they'll throw the car in, it'll look like it's going around really, really fast, and then it'll start drifting out, and then they'll panic, put the foot on the brake or the accelerator, and the thing will just pitch up on its back leg, so to speak, and it'll just go straight on. It'll just literally halfway down the corner, it'll just go straight. Or more unlikely, I think, is for them to get the full spin going on, because if you're just letting it go and you do actually spin the car, then it's not so bad as if you overcorrect and then the thing violently snaps out. If we've got any Audis, watch for them doing that.
Yeah, indeed. On another sim, I've had many horror stories with the Audi, especially around here at corners like 130R. The back end of that stepping out. I actually did a racing evening here once where there was 3 races in one night, and all 3 of my races ended in the barrier here at 130R on the right-hand side after it just snapping left and then me overcorrecting to the right and subsequently disconnecting my wheel and throwing it across the room. But anyway, we have the Bentley of Vygotsky going down the straight now, moves up to 18th place. He's going to very promptly stop the car, jump back to the pits and get some fresh rubber where possible. But there are cars, as you can see on that map, it's like an anthill at the moment, isn't it? It's just filled with coloured dots, all skating around this circuit as best they can. Now, someone I actually wanted to talk about this evening is this man, Cody Pride, and he wears that number 1 with pride. That is confidence. If you want to pick the number 1, I said this in the Endurance Cup a few seasons ago, that's like putting a target on your back, isn't it, and saying, I am number 1, come after me. He's really got to live up to that number in this event, hasn't he?
I love the fact his team name is Happy Birthday. He's really went for the effort here. It's that's why he's probably chosen the number. It's just our first birthday, so he's getting in the spirit, I think, rather than being cocky. Although it's Cody, so maybe. But he's in the BMW, and that is a bold choice because I mean, there's only 3 of them out tonight.
Yeah, there's not many at all. It's a very, very, very small number of cars. He has gone up to 6th position, half a second off the top spot. Now look at Whitehead into a 58.8, ironically in car 58 as well. That is absolutely insane pace from him. Oh, Harry Spears goes into a 58.4.
No.
These times are absolutely disgusting.
They are. I just don't want to see Harry Spears' car again for the remainder of the thing. Yeah, it's not happening. But I mean, like, this is what you were saying. I mean, the time's coming in thick and fast. But Harry Spears with that time there has just absolutely blown the timing screens up. We were looking about 2 seconds for the top 30, and then he's just sort of come alive right at the last gasp. Remember, these are just, if I'm right in saying, this is just the GT3s that are out on track just now. So we've still got another 50 cars to go out for qualifying.
That in itself is nuts, isn't it? I love it. Absolutely love it. Well, to be honest, there's not going to be any shortage of action this evening. Hello there, as Woods nearly ends up in the woods through the Degners. He ends up on the sand instead, doing a bit of Paris-Dakar. A little bit of a high ping for Mr. Woods, though, so maybe it is moving around a bit more erratically for us than it would be for him. That NSX looks great, doesn't it? Nico Hillebrand in the Butler Pal Motorsport machine. That livery really suits it, with the highlights on the white as well in the corners of the splitter. Really shows you the beautiful shape at the front of that car. I hadn't actually seen one of these in person since they got homologated as a GT3 car. I've seen them, of course, in the sim. I've seen the road car itself, but I'd never seen a GT3 version of it, and I was lucky enough to be at Misano a few weeks ago and see a pair of them racing. And if I'm honest, it's just the way it sounds, the way it looks, the way it behaves on track, visually anyway. It's just a Ferrari in a Honda suit.
Yeah, it is just absolutely gorgeous. And the thing with the GT3 cars is that it does become very, very difficult to sort of pick them out if you're not actually looking at them. But I'm going to say a number of these machines up in the flesh at Donington next weekend. So excited to see them as part of British GT. They are just absolutely special machines, and yeah, so much fun.
And that's the Aston Martin that we're looking at right now, with Daniel Austin's at the wheel. Austin's Motor Racing goes up to 11th place in qualifying. The Aston is not just a savage sounding car which pops and bangs like a cannon every single time you change gear, but it's just the rumble of that V8 is just ruthless. You know, they make such a good sound, and so does this. The 5.2 litre V10 engine in the back of the Audi R8 LMS Ultra. Absolutely incredible machine. Daniel Ferrier for Pink Performance crosses the line. He's 18th at the moment. Does he improve? He does. Goes up to 13th place, 1.1 seconds off. Felix Ruppert goes up to 3rd. XL Racing by Renvelten. It's got the name Renvelten in it, so it's going to be fast. So 3rd place for him so far, just under half a second off. But that time by Spears at the top, absolutely immaculate so far. But you know what, David? I'm going to go down this controversial route, but I agree with you on the livery. You know, I love racing liveries. I always appreciate the design that goes in behind them. And sometimes less is more, sometimes more is more, and it works. But I've never seen or understood the whole manga livery thing. I've got to say it. I know there's a massive community that support it, and there's an incredible community behind it all as well. You know, I appreciate manga. I appreciate that sort of thing. I'm not going to go too much into that, but I just don't get it on race cars. I've never understood it at all. For me, I'd rather just see a red Ferrari with a little bit of a white stripe on it and loads of stickers and loads of logos. I've never got that myself, but each to their own, isn't it, I suppose?
I don't know. It just brings me back to one of my real life car YouTubers that I watch quite regularly, and he paid quite a lot of money, or got paid as a dare, to put a waifu on the side of his car, and yeah, it's absolutely hilarious. But it's fantastic bits of art. As someone who has the creative skills of a 3-year-old with some Crayola, it doesn't really mean anything to me, because I tried doing liveries once and yeah, didn't really work out too well. Ends up looking like I've taken a Sharpie to a couple of Matchbox cars, but yeah, it is what it is. Do you know what? It's nice though that we're in this place with sim racing where people can express themselves and express what they like on the side of their cars, and yeah, just go wild. I've seen some nice meme liveries there, as we see Alex Gates almost transcending the bounds of space and time there on their way around first corner.
Indeed, yeah, indeed. Now, I completely agree. You know, the fact that you sometimes have teams and liveries and so on that are very corporate. You know, they have their proper liveries on, they have their proper sponsors and everything else on it. Much like we see here, Maximilian Bulmuth in the XL Racing by Renvelten car. Wonderful multicoloured livery. Almost reminds me of one of the old sort of flying lizard Porsches from Le Mans, as Van der Velde is second fastest, making it Mercedes 1, 2 and 3 at the moment. But yeah, the fact that you can just go out, do what you want, and express yourself with a livery is part of the beauty of sim racing. You know, you don't have to pay thousands to get it rewrapped overnight, or get it all cleaned up before an event. You can just go into Photoshop or GIMP or whatever bit of editing software you use. Just do what you want with it and make it look absolutely phenomenal, or just make it look however you want it to look. I know some people that prefer a car to have what we call a privateer look, where it's just a solid colour, it's just white with number boards on it and black wheels, and it just looks the part. It looks the absolute nads, because it almost looks like the realistic interpretation of it's their first event. They've turned up and they're going to do this without sponsors or whatever else. And I have people in my friends list that I've spoken to before, and they've said when I started out in sim racing, I'd do it in a plain coloured car with no logos on it, and then I'd work up and add more and more to it as I go, and it's like a real journey through motorsport, as it would be. And I think that's pretty cool in itself. But there, anyway, away from that digression, is Harry Spears, who, to be honest, David, I think if he gets a clean start, he's going to be hard to beat tonight.
Yeah, he's certainly got the pace, is it? It's not just that pole lap that he's put in. He's consistently looked very, very fast in that Mercedes. And of course, I'm thoroughly biased because that is one of my favourite cars in all of GT3 racing. It's just such a wonderful sounding machine, proper weapon. But he obviously feels like he's done enough, pulls in, and 158.272. It's going to be different to see past that, because that's it, done and dusted. Here come the GT4s.
It's the cavalry. They're just, smaller wings, smaller arches, a bit smaller everything with GT4 cars, but the racing is just as good. And as I always say, usually the slower the car, you'll probably appreciate this, the slower the car, the better the racing, I always say, because you've got more time to think about what you're doing, more time to react to what the other drivers are doing, and it just means that it's easier to follow it and get on with. And I'm sure, no disrespect to your racing this year, but they're not the fastest cars in the world, but they're just some of the most entertaining, aren't they? They've got a fantastic balance of just pure enjoyment, and GT4s are similar, aren't they?
I don't know about that. I think we'll be making some of the British GT drivers jealous next weekend. Sammy Arfosh, oh my goodness me! I've got to be Angry Wedge Racing Team. That is it. That for me is I want focus on him all night. That is amazing. Look at that thing. That is like somebody's taken a doorstop, put wheels on it, and painted it yellow. That is just KTM. Stick to making bikes, guys.
Yeah,
please.
I always say that this thing just looks like an Amazon Prime box with a rear wing on it. But to be honest, though, I don't know how much anyone's going to agree with me on this, but when you see it in that livery, don't you think it looks like some sort of promotional concept car for the Jordan F1 team in 1998?
Well, yeah, because I remember that was one of my very first steering wheels, was the Jordan F1 steering wheel for the PlayStation, and
it looked Mad Catz one.
Yeah. And that's what it looked like. It was yellow and black, and it just looks absolutely the part. I'm really liking that. I hope Samir does quite well in that car. But back to your point you made, Chaz, about the racing and the slower speed. I would argue that it doesn't matter what speed you're going at. The C1s have proved that, Sidecar Cups proved that, GT4s have proved that. If you get 30 cars that are all roughly about the same speed, give or take, and then it's all up to the drivers, it doesn't matter if you are in the top 5 or if you are in the bottom 20, you are in for an absolute treat, and that time will absolutely fly by. I promise, and you'll have the best time of your life. We speak to the guys tonight, even if they're in GT3 or GT4, and I would hazard a guess, if it doesn't all go Pete Tong in a brutal way, that they all come in laughing, giggling, and like they've just had an absolute riot tonight.
Oh yeah, I imagine they will. Absolutely. They will love every moment of this tonight, and I can't wait to see how it all pans out by the end. So we have times on the board now then. Cars making their way around the final corner just to get those banker laps in and make sure that there are times out there. The Camaro coming towards us there, currently registering in 60th place. Just making their time known. There's just such a great variation as well. Again, like you get with GT3s, there's so many manufacturers, so many very different cars in GT4. Seeing the BMW M4 GT4 a few years ago against things like this Mercedes that you see here, the AMG GT, and the Audi R8, it looks like somebody's just whacked a wing on a touring car and said, that'll do. But it's almost like typical BMW, because they've had the M6, which is a massive, beefy boat in itself. That takes on incredible GT3 machinery. And now they've got the GT4 of the M4, obviously, that is, again, a big, beefy car, but it just gets the job done. They can really develop a car, BMW.
Yeah, I love GT4. I really, really do. I've always said that GT4 is like ordering GT3 on Wish.com. It's close. It gets the idea right, but it just isn't exactly the same as the original thing you were trying to get in the first place. But my God, are they fun. I struggle to drive GT4s because of the understeer nature of the cars. But watching it and commentating on it is some of my favourite action, because you're guaranteed, whereas you'll see with some of the GT3 drivers who have spent months and months and months perfecting setups and perfecting their technique and everything like that, it almost doesn't seem to count in the same way with GT4s, because the difference in speed doesn't seem to be anywhere near as much with the GT4s. As I say, that Maciej Malinowski is almost a second up going across the line to take pole position. So yeah, Maciej Malinowski firmly shutting my mouth on that one. 0.8 of a second ahead of Pirelli, but for the most part, the gaps are actually very, very close.
Yeah, definitely. And here is one of the few Maseratis that we have out there this evening, Lukian Prochnica, or Prochnica, I think it might be. That's a good-looking and good-sounding car, that Maserati. It's one of the oldest homologated GT3 cars as well, the Maserati Gran Turismo. I think it was the very first homologated GT3 car, but the GT4 version, just as beefy and just as fast as well. And down in 13th place at the moment, and going further down the order as the times come in. You can see it's not really well lit here at Suzuka either. It's sort of that twilight phase at the moment with how dark it is. I think that drivers are really going to struggle with visibility around here tonight, because it's not really floodlit anywhere, is it? It goes properly pitch black at Suzuka.
It certainly does, and it's a completely different kettle of fish going around this track at the darkness at the night time than it is during the day. So I think you'll see a lot of mistakes from drivers trying to follow headlights and taillights and maybe missing braking points, but do you know what? That all adds to the fun and frivolity that we're about to take part in tonight.
Certainly going to have a lot of fun with it. There's Nerola. You'll see Nerola in the very, very bright green Aston Martin Vantage GT4. And I'm going to say this, for a while, I thought that the GT4 version of that car looked better than the GT3, but then when I nearly got run over by one at Alton Park, I had to disagree. But it certainly looks absolutely stunning in the bright green as well. It's not quite British racing green, as we all know and love, but you'll see moves up into 10th position. And here is James. Now, how would you say that one? Spivey? Spibby? I'm going to go for Spivey because there's only one B. For VRM Racing, in the beautifully sort of burnished orange metallic Porsche Cayman. Bit of spit of flame as he goes into the Casio triangle. These guys really attacking the curbs tonight. Now, I'm not sure whether they'll get away with that over the full race, but they really are throwing it in here to try and extract everything out of qualifying, aren't they?
I think you have to. I think with 6 minutes left to go in qualifying, they've got their banker laps in now. Is about throwing everything they can in the kitchen sink into what is going to be going on. I mean, remember, a second is likely going to be 15 places gained for you. I mean, look at how many cars you've got in between 2.1 seconds and 3 seconds. That is, what's that? Yeah, 12 cars, 15 cars just in the it's unbelievable, the gap. And then you go up to the top 5 and the gaps are actually massive in between those top 5 there. So it's going to be one heck of a scrap midfield, and it's one thing to be able to go fast in qualifying, but translating that into race pace is not necessarily guaranteed. And it's my good friend Alex Goldschmidt who would say, times for show, points to go.
I like that. I've not heard him say that one, but I like that. But I'm in a similar boat with that. I cannot qualify to save my life. If you say, "Oh, Chaz, just go out there and do a few laps, extract a bit of time out of it," I'd honestly just say no. I could try it and it just won't happen. But come to race pace, I'm better off following a car in front, judging where they're quicker than me or where I can be quicker than them, where I can maybe brake later, and I learn visually off that. And I think we're going to see that a lot with these drivers tonight. And let's not forget as well that traffic goes both ways, because traffic, of course, for the GT3 cars is going to be seen as a huge hindrance, but sometimes they can take advantage of their rivals being slowed down. GT4 cars can also have the same. If they have a rival that they're chasing in front of them, and they both get overtaken by GT3 cars, they can try and make sure they're overtaken in a place where they don't lose as much momentum, watch their rival get pushed out wide or go offline for a GT3 car, and then they can shimmy through. So we're going to have to really keep our eyes peeled tonight, not just to watch the GT3 cars passing GT4s, but of course these GT4 guys having their own battle in amongst all of that. And I don't think we're going to get a runaway winner in this class tonight, because they are not going to have a moment's peace around Suzuka.
Do you know someone else that's not going to have a moment's peace tonight at Suzuka? Poor old Mike Yao. Yeah, exactly. He is going to be... I think we should do maybe a little interview with him after this to see if he ever fancies ever doing this again after the madness that is about to ensue. And let's face it, that is exactly where it's like a step off into the unknown with this, with 3.5 minutes left to go in qualifying. Masik Malinowski, half a second ahead of the rest of the field. I think, he's going to be blowing out the birthday candles and just away with it straight away. And then you look at the rest of the cars in that 50-car field. It's going to be very, very close for pretty much P3 to about P45. But yeah, for him, it's looking like he might just be going for it.
Yeah, definitely. He's absolutely nailing it so far. And you're right, I think I heard a little noise earlier that was one of Mike Yao's hands going supersonic in his office, to be honest, because he's going to be all over the mouse, all over the keyboards, everything. So we take our hats off to you, Mike, and good luck. I hope we've got aircon. But this is Tony McCoffervan in 76th overall at the moment. Can't quite believe I'm saying that. And it's not like it's Le Mans 24 hours or anything. But he's in the, let's call it, it's almost like Honda Championship White McLaren, the number 339 car. It's really sad, the things you pick up when you've been around Hondas too long. He keeps it nice and tight down the inside line as he crosses the line there, just to see what he can do to improve. Gets the run, goes up to 25th in the GT4s, 1.9 tenths of a second off the top spot. And there is a lot of them very, very close together, as we had in GT3s, but as David pointed out before, there was quite the spread in the top 5. So I think that just keeping your nose clean in these opening laps is going to be so key here, because there's going to be so many cars going for it. You just can't risk any moment where you step out of line here. You just need to follow the train for a lot of it and just capitalise on moments. I don't think we're going to see people really taking too many risks here, are we?
I'm going to politely disagree with you on that one. I think that's exactly what we're going to see. Let every opportunity, we're just going to see folk taking risks all they possibly can. This isn't a championship round. I think they're just going to be sending it every which way they can. But I mean, the one thing they're going to have to watch out for is penalties, because it's bad enough in, like, say, a race where you've got maybe 30 cars. Then you get a penalty and you're going all the way back. Imagine being a GT3 car. Oh my goodness me, Luka Korolev there. I'm hoping that maybe was a little bit of lost in translation on the server there, but I think he just at the last minute there decided to go in there. I'm going to be honest, I think Samir Foch has missed a trick here. We saw a comment on YouTube chat there. I think he should have went up with the Pokemon livery there, but he's got a good chance here to go top 20. Goes cross line there, 18th position, Samir Foch in the KTM alongside, I noticed Bernard in the KTM as well, so 18th and 19th position for them.
Yeah, not too shabby at all for the Amazon boxes. But I'll tell you one thing, actually, if you, I don't know if you've ever seen them before, but KTM did a GT2 version of the Crossbow that races in the Fanatec GT2 European Series, and it actually looks amazing. It's a gorgeous looking car. Fuzi has just gone up to 4th place, I've been told, so that's a hell of an effort. And especially with the spread that they've had. Here's de Havilland for VRM Racing. He's half a second up at the moment. Michael Hamlet's just whispered to me in my ear. It's great to have Michael Hamlet back in my ear. It's been a long time since I've been on a SimGrid broadcast. But yeah, Malinowski, half a second faster than everybody else at the moment, is just unbelievable performance. But let's see how close de Havilland can get to that. around the Castillo chicane, through the right, through the left, using all of the curb. Nice and smooth around here. It's easy to just slightly slide the car out wide. He takes a sort of middle line down the straight. He's actually just lost a spot as well. Someone else has just gone faster than him. Crosses the line, goes second, but still half a second off. 9 thousandths, though, ahead of third place. That's a great effort, that.
Yeah, cracking last gasp effort there from James de Havilland to get that car in second place. It was already half a second up, so it just shows what that can do. That put him up 5 places, as we see Christie and Byrne there up into 20th position there. But this is Alexis Pirelli for VRM Racing in that beautiful, almost. In fact, no, that's not quite the copper one, is it? That's the sister car that Alexis is in the number 19. 6th place just now, looking like a decent lap so far, but it's going to have to be something special to get anywhere near up. Company 2 tenths up, so this could be second place then for Alexis Pirelli just now, because he was just about 7 tenths up. He's now gone 3 tenths up, so this is on line to be second place for Pirelli. If he can hold on to it, comes up to the line, he might slip into 3rd or 4th, but he goes across. What can Pirelli do? Second place, 4 tenths of a second behind. Here's Sebastian Handler for Team Cake. Up to 8th place. What a jump, Chaz, right at the end there. And Spaby goes up into 8th place as well.
Yeah, nice stuff. They're all scrambling to get inside the top 10. And as you saw there from Handler's car, just about gets the position. He's like, yes. Oh, no. Up 1, down 1. But still, great place to be inside the top 10 in such a competitive field. You've got to think that some of the drivers that will be further back, even outside of the top 20, you'd be considering what is on the cards for the rest of the night. Never mind that, though. Imagine being outside the top 40 in that. I can tell you from racing in 60-car fields before, when you put in a hell of an effort and gain 11 places, but you go from 58th to 47th, it's a bit demoralising. But as you said before, it's not the most serious of evenings tonight. This is a celebration, let's not forget, of the SimGrid, and of course its first year. A very successful first year, it has to be said. We've had so many fantastic events, drivers, members of staff, incredible commentators as well. I must say the commentary roster for SimGrid has been fantastic, and I'm not just saying that in a big-headed way of like, oh, look at me, but honestly, the other commentators alongside us have all just been great. And Mike Yao has been a godsend as well with the broadcasts, because let's face it, my terrible internet and one-man show was just not entertaining. And it's just, the whole thing has culminated together into a fantastic organisation, hasn't it? It's just been epic to be part of, and long may it continue.
Absolutely, and there's such sincerity, Chaz, when you say that as well. I have to echo everything you've said there. It's almost like a monster that's just grown at an exponential rate. I mean, the production quality is some of the best that I've seen in sim racing broadcasts on any platform. The commentator roster, obviously you have to balance it out with the fact they've got me and you, but for the positive side, you've got like Lewis, when they brought in Lewis McGlade and Andy McEwen, it makes us feel nervous, because you're like, oh my god, these are like top tier commentators that they're bringing on. So it just shows you the level of production values and the level of effort that they're going into to make this as enjoyable for you guys at home to be watching. And honestly, I've said it a few times, and I do genuinely mean it. It's humbling to be part of such an amazing organisation. It's an awesome thing. And right, grid is going. So Chaz, let's get going through this grid.
So you got Malinowski and Pirella on the front row, then Riley and de Havilland on row 2. Phillips and Fusi are on row 3 ahead of Nagy and Spebe. It sounds like a boy band. Sebastian Handler is 9th, with in 10th position Shah, although looking on, I was going to say, actually, that's just the GT4, isn't it? Yeah, I was going to say, hang on, I'm sure Spears was on pole. Van der Velde alongside him, that's going to be interesting. Whitehead was rapid before. Ruppert was also very quick, as you can see by the fact that they're up there. You've got Walmuth in 5th place ahead of Ryan Meenan, and then, of course, the number 88 Bentley of Lurs. It's no wonder it's gone dark. The Bentley's blocking the sun. But you've got Killian Ryan Meenan in the 23 machine. There you go, Bentley pun's already coming out. Brabner in 9th. He's also in a Bentley as well, so they've managed to squeeze 2 of them within 3 grid spaces. I want to know how they've done that. They must have used a lot of Vaseline. You've got Pride in 10th place. The 2 BMWs together, actually. Van Druten in the 996 machine in 11th place. And then we've got Nico Hillebrand in 12th in the Honda. And to be honest, one thing that we have to really pick up on here is the spread of manufacturers as well. We have a hell of a lot of them out there, really well represented, and it's not just become the Porsche Cup like the Sprint Cup did a few years ago. I say years. See, that's how long... that's just proof, isn't it? I was going to say a few years. I mean seasons, but honestly...
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. Honestly, it just feels like forever ago since it started. There's your GT4s, which, as you can see, we're surrounded by Porsches currently, but there's a big bunch of Mercedes and Aston Martins in the middle of them as well. The Gianettas, which is great to see. Lozanov in the 999 Gianetta. Hopefully he won't be ringing 999 by the end of the night, or even shouting it if he's German. But it's, again, fantastic to see a bunch of Maseratis in there. There's even an Alpine further back. Nicole in that car in 23rd place in class, car 33. I just cannot wait to get this underway. There is the Eddie Jordan tribute machine, the 888 car of Fock on the right-hand side. There's the Alpine, number 33. But wow, oh wow, I can't believe that actually. It really does show you how long Suzuka's straight is, doesn't it, to fit nearly 100 cars on it. That's epic.
That is just something else. I was going to say that Jordan tribute car. It's got the cheek structure and the jawline of Eddie Irvine, doesn't it? Jesus. Right. Just looking towards the back of these cars here, the Camaro, the GT4, and the Mercedes GT4. I just think they look absolutely gorgeous. But how epic does this look? 7 o'clock at night, virtually here at Suzuka. The cars, lights are on. We're about a minute and a half way to go. Ian at Cosman on YouTube chat has come up with a rather dangerous drinking game, which we quite honestly can't condone in any way whatsoever. Drink responsibly and all that sort of stuff. Basically, take a drink, take a shot for every punt. I've got to be honest, if you're playing that, you're going to have to phone your local hospital and book a stomach pump, I think, for that one.
I was going to say, I don't drink, and I think that'd end me after one lap, probably. No offense to any of the guys and girls out there.
Oh my God, look at that!
I imagine if Mike had an FPS counter in the top right, it probably just went to about 1 for a second there. Just like, oh yeah, you want 40 cars on the grid, try 100. You can see as well. Sorry, go on.
Do you remember when you were little and you had micro machines? That view there is exactly what it looked like when they were there. I mean, I've never seen. Little? Well, exactly. But I mean, it just looks amazing.
Oh, it does. It's absolutely stunning, really is, and it's great to have it as well. And this isn't the only split, from what I'm told. So it's the fact that we have such a massive community all supporting this. There are 3 splits for this event, so thank you to everybody who has got involved with this. All of the drivers out there. Hey up, mate. He doesn't look too excited for it at the moment. Mike wobbling the camera there to say hello. People flashing the lights as well. Great to see everybody getting the headlights on and getting ready for this, because I don't know if I am, to be honest, David. Michael went to the extent of sending us an entry list, and I take my hat off to him for doing so. I don't know how quickly I'll be able to reference it tonight, because it's the biggest entry list I've ever seen, and I covered the Nürburgring 24 hours.
Oh man, look at that. Microsoft PowerPoint Assetto Corsa edition. I feel sorry for Mike Yau's hardware tonight, because it is he's going to have to sit with like some sort of industrial cooling for how hot those graphics cards are going to be tonight. I think we all need to have a little bit of sympathy and chat for poor Mike Yau's power bill.
Oh, we've got a car there with no lights on at the moment. That's very true, actually. Michael's just pointed out that by the time all these cars got past the camera, the race leader will be back round for the start. It's not a bad point, really, to be fair. There's a number of them away, though, without the lights on, by the look of it. I'm not sure whether that's just down to a ping thing and it's just not communicated that they've got the lights on, but I think maybe some of them just doing it in a weird way to stand out or be different, because you've always got that one guy that flashes his lights for the entire warm-up lap, haven't you? But we'll have to see. Let's just wait and see how.
Because of course they have to, don't they? Because in the sim itself, it warns you to get your lights on when the track reaches a certain time. So it's going to be needed. But of course, they've got the different levels. They've got your low beams and your high beams as well. But yeah, this is just going to be crazy.
Just loving this view as well, and it's interesting this because we've got on the front row the 2 different versions of the Mercedes AMG GT3. We've got the Generation 1 car, of course, with Harry Spears at the wheel, and then we've got Tinko van der Velde in the Generation 2 machine, which I must say, I think the Generation 2 machine, it certainly looks a lot better now. I think it's a lot prettier. Well, it's called the Evo, isn't it? I shouldn't really call it the Generation 2, but it's just part of me thinks that's a better name. But I think the second one's look better than the first one. It's certainly proven to be a very, very rapid machine. I mean, the first one was a great all-rounder on the GT3 package all around the world anyway, but the second one's just been an absolute hit. But then, of course, you have a field of Aston Martins chasing them down as well. The Aston has been a really, really strong car across SimGrid recently, and I think that, to be fair, this race is going to be even more proof of that, as the guys flex the fact that, for now, they can drive through one another without making contact. I think they're probably just going to have to get all of that out of the way, because I can see a lot of elbows out and what I call argy-bargy coming up this evening.
I think that's putting it very, very mildly indeed. Thankfully, I mean, the group does seem to be relatively well stuck together, so the car's making their way around to the final couple of corners, coming up to the Casio triangle in just about maybe say 20 seconds time. So based on the current pace and based on where the cars are going to start, I think it's going to be about 12 laps before we start seeing GT4s getting lapped.
Yeah, I think it's about that. Yeah, maybe for some of the stragglers at the back a bit less. look at them all trying to get 2x2 out of 130. That's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. They're all trying to make sure that they're all giving each other space and giving space to the rows in front of them as well. Let's see. This is going to be hard for us to call as well, David, because the lights on the cars may be on, but this is not a very brightly lit circuit, so this is going to be certainly intriguing to try and pick out which headlights is ahead of which other pair of headlights. Anyway, 90 minutes of racing is about to get underway here for the SimGrid's 1-year anniversary. The cars are slowing down to the line, and it's going to be Harry Spears that's going to lead us away then. After 1 year of SimGrid, we get things underway. Wait for it. Now the green flag is waved and 100 GT cars roar down towards us at turn 1. Look at that sight in the background. It's like the M25 on a Friday. Absolutely stunning. We've got cars wobbling around a little bit all over the place. Bit of contact in the middle of the field. One of the Porsches goes off to the left-hand side. Honestly, that is. I've joked about the M25 before in sim racing. Oh, there's big crash in the GT4s. There's Porsches around in the check-up. They're 5 wide through turn 2. Oh, there's a lot of them all caught up at the second corner. There's a bit of a bottleneck there. But to be fair, it looks like pretty much most of the field got through pretty well there, David.
Do you know what? We missed the trick there. We should have had Stevie Wonder Happy Birthday playing as the cars rolled down to turn 1. That would have been epic. Oh, my goodness me. Yeah. Alexis Pirelli caught up in that big smash into turn 1 for the GT4.
No.
So yeah, that is not exactly what you want to see for the start of this 90-minute race. We haven't really spoken much about the race itself. Obviously, a 90-minute endurance race, a solo endurance race for all of these drivers, GT3 and GT4, taking part over the course of the 90 minutes. So strategy going to come into the factor as well. As far as I believe, Chaz, that obviously they'll have to take a pit stop, but there's no mandated time that they have to take the pit stop.
Yeah, that's it. It's those that can calculate the fuel and figure the tyres out and how they want the car to be at the end. They're the ones that are really going to thrive from this. You know, you've not got a minimum amount of time that you need to be sat there for, so drivers don't have that sort of safety net for gaining and losing positions in there. But here we go then. GT3 cars roaring their way through 130R for the first time. It's Spears from Van der Velde, Whitehead and Walmouth with Ruppert in 5th position. The Bentley of Leurs is in 6th position at the moment, but it's Mercedes 1, 2, 3, but still that very first edition of the Mercedes AMG GT3 leading the way. You've got V8s all the way up in the top 5, and we still have all cars running, which is, to be honest, a miracle.
Yeah. It's just awesome. I mean, I'm sure on my time on screens is 92, but that is amazing. The fact that, and the thing is that, seeing that, I mean, the fact that they're all still going is just absolutely epic. It really, really is. And we've not lost anyone. There's not like someone halfway around the circuit. They're all in this one great big train right now. So yeah, awesome race. And I've got to be honest, I'm very, very surprised that it has gone this way so far.
I won't lie, yeah, I'm the same. I did expect maybe a little... All it takes is one touch in the first or second corner and there's a car around sideways and everybody's coming in so hot they could just smack into it. But we've got a bit of spreading out at the front at the moment. But look at this in the GT4s then. This is Riley in third place, chasing down the Aston Martin of Nagy just in front of him. There's a GT3 Audi making its way through there as well. That's the number 29 car, just trying to make some progress currently. And it's Enard in the 29. Thank you very much for confirming, Michael. But this is already going to be a bit of a difficult time for the GT4s as these GT3 machines try to get their way through. Obviously, some of them lost out at the very start. Oh, the ping deceiving us there as they come through. Yeah, there should be an AMG and a McLaren, according to Michael too. But I mean, when you see headlights like that, and if you look in the mirror behind you when you're driving along, it's not really easy to tell, is it, David, what is going to be what?
We just kind of have to hope for the best and then have a punt at what we think is happening. There's yellow flags left, right and centre. As you can see, Jason Sofford in the 219 Porsche having a bit of an issue. He goes to the back of the field now in the GT4s. But Tinko van der Velde keeping Harry Spears honest at the front of the overall field and of the GT3, keeping Luke Whitehead and Maximilian Walworth at the front of that group, although Walworth just dropping back. It's a 3-car battle right now. And tell you what, for the pace that he had, Spears isn't able to stretch away so far.
No, he's not really bolted completely at the front, has he? It's not been a dominant start to the race, but that's what we want to see here. Now, this is Riley trying to defend from Marcel Fusi. Hello, sunshine. Get a good look at that wall on the right-hand side. There's the McLaren that Michael mentioned coming through around the outside into turn 1. Making it nice and smoothly around there. You could see Fusi trying to capitalise, try and take advantage of that, but he's got to be careful because he's got Chaldiakis behind him and then Phillips in there as well. There's a Mercedes AMG GT3 coming through this pack too. So not only do they have to think about the traffic when the leaders come around and catch them, but any cars that lose out and then suddenly make their way through, all it takes is one car to just spoil your momentum and then that's it, isn't it, really? It's that easy. It could be anyone.
It certainly could, and that's exactly it. I mean, like I said earlier, imagine being one of the GT3 cars and you get taken out at the first couple of corners, and then suddenly you've got 80 cars to try and get past just to get back to your GT3 position. It's absolute craziness. It really, really is. But for the most part, now we're starting to see the cars spreading out a bit. But yeah, we and I don't think chat would have expected this either. All of us expected just a melee, just chaos left, right and centre. We've not had that. We've had a little bit of we thought that there was going to be cars flying to the moon and getting punted, but it's not happened. This is, if anything, this is one of the best adverts for the SimGrid I think you could ever actually have, Chaz. We've got 90 cars on the grid with each other, and this is still hands down some of the best racing you'll see.
Definitely, drivers trying to keep it clean. They know the glory that they're going for. You know, even if there's a driver down in 40th place, you never know what can happen, what can develop in front of you, where you can suddenly make a great call on tyres if anything changed, or even just where you can find some pace from. You know, run a different strategy, try and take a risk because you're a little bit further back, gain that track position. Anything could happen in a race like this, and that's why we love it. But it's Harry Spears then, 3/10 ahead of Van der Velde at the moment. The two of them starting to open up a bit, actually. Where is... Oh, Walworth actually has got ahead of Whitehead now. I think Whitehead must have lost a lot of time on that last sector. Either that or I've just missed that. But Whitehead now in 4th place, so he's in amongst the Aston Martins. Lurs is still there trying to lure in Ruppert in the Aston Martin, the number 71 machine. And then you've got the two Ryan Meenans in 7th and 8th, and there's two Aston Martins there with Pride in the number 1 Happy Birthday BMW. Good to see Hillebrand going well in the Honda as well. We've got a Ferrari in there with Kiazek at the wheel, but there is Pride in the M6. Great looking car. That I'm so gutted that it's going to be replaced by the M4 GT3, I must admit.
Yeah, I like the size of that M6. It was an absolute weapon. But, progress goes on. Things change all the time. And unfortunately, that M4 is just one of those latest things. I still say bring back, what was it? Was it not the M8, the GTE, the big, massive tank of a car? That I absolutely loved that BMW. That was one of my favourites.
It was...
and off into the background, that was the McLaren of Cadil that went flying off sideways, and that was just a straight up misjudgment of taking too much speed in that corner. We see that time and time again. He won't be the last one to do that.
It's got Sky Broadband branding up the side of it. It nearly went off at circuit faster than Sky Fibre then. Absolutely shot off to the right hand side. But that's just what 130R can do to you. It's a real scary corner. But I agree on the M8, David. It's like an aircraft carrier with a windscreen. It's absolutely phenomenal. The size of that car, how intimidating it is. Wasn't sure on how the back of it looked. It looked like a bit of an afterthought, but then again, they're designing it. They know what to do. I don't. Now we've got two red Aston Martins having a little bit of a fight here. We've got Killian Ryan Meenan, and is that the other Ryan Meenan actually just behind him now in the number 12? It is. They've swapped places very recently. Lovely design on those cars. They really do suit red, the Aston Martins, strangely, because you'd expect everybody to just put red on a Ferrari, but I must admit the Aston Martins certainly do suit it as well. We've got the rainbow on the rear wing of Killian Ryan Meenan's machine. He's going to try and move forward now and get onto the back of the Bentley. When he eventually manages to see around the Bentley, he'll notice that Ruppert is just in front in another Aston Martin, the number 71. But good stuff from Killian Ryan Meenan so far. I'm used to seeing him racing in a McLaren, so it's interesting to see him in a different car for once, but Killian's always been very, very quick everywhere we see him on SimGrid. Now a bit further back, here is the Mercedes of Christian Berendier in the Berries car, chasing down an M4, and then, by the look of it, an Amazon Prime box.
Yeah, it's certainly on the move, is it? The GT4 of Bernard in that number 24 machine. Just try to see, because the two KTMs were together, so I fear that the other KTM was actually caught up in that first lap chaos. In fact, let me have a quick look at my time, and I think that's exactly what has happened to the KTM. It's all the way down in 75th place, Samir Foch in the 888. So yeah, again, not that much. I mean, he's about maybe 10 seconds off of this group here, so recovery drive is possible, but it's starting to get a bit shady, because we've got the GT3s probably about 10 seconds away from the back of the 339 GT4 car, and that is Tony McCoffervin.
We look here at Van Truten in the 996 BMW. The second placed M6 at the moment, with Pride up in 9th. Bit of sparks there. Oh, there's a Maserati going slowly. Now, there could be a few of them there. It could either be the 444, the 89, or the 267. But he's been overtaken now by McCoffervin, as you see. But it looks like he's maybe had a moment on the exit of there, which is easy to do. As we look at Brambilla in the number 8 BWT branded Mercedes. That's a really good looking car in itself, isn't it? Fantastic, iconic livery almost. It's been great to see a number of cars get that branding as of late. There's the 53 of Cav Bud. I saw C Bud then, I thought it was Charlie Bud, a mate of mine that I met at a real world racing event a while ago. He used to race in Ginettas, now I think he races in Legends. But this Mercedes GT4 is a good looking car as well. You've got the very angry and almost stealthy Maserati in front of him, where the headlights barely look like they're turned on. Here's Cameron Bridport. He's got another Porsche right behind him with Gergau at the wheel. Looking back now as the flat 6 screams its way to 130R. The iconic noise of a Porsche 911 GT3R. Flings it in. GT3R through 130R. Very wide there from Gergau in 25th place. And into the Casio triangle once again. Certainly does look the part though at the moment, doesn't it, David? It's absolutely beautiful to look at, his ACC, and the night racing in it with the exhaust glowing, the headlights, the dust effect even on the particles on the lenses. Oh, it's all very nerdy but very lovely.
It's absolutely gorgeous. It's so immersive, and it's having been to racetracks in the night and seeing the headlights going round. This is what it looks like. It's just awesome stuff. We see a cracking little battle here. Jason, let's get a little tap from behind, and Brunner. That is a very rude poke up the rear there from Brunner in the number 26. Jason Liss gets going again, but that was a bit naughty, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was indeed, and unfortunately Jason falls down the list on the left-hand side, and he will not be pleased with that contact, nor will he be happy for me making that pun out of his name. You can see the glowing hot exhausts there as we ride pretty much inside the 5.2 litre V10 in Daniel Ferrier's Audi R8. Gorgeous noise, absolutely gorgeous noise from this car. V10 engines just really do take some beating. And I tell you what, Daniel Ferrier is going to kick its head in this evening trying to get some time out of it. Hello everybody, apologies for the issues there. You all know how fickle technology and internet connections can be. We're just making sure that everything is sorted once again. The wonderful Mike Yao is working incredibly quickly to get things done, and we will be back to live pictures in a moment, but it's almost quite a welcome moment for reflection really, David. We had a crazy start to the race, but not in the chaotic and crash-filled way that some people would expect.
Wow. That was an awesome start to the race, Chaz. It was relatively controlled. It was a decent actual race that we got going on. Harry Spears away with it ahead of Tinko van der Velde in GT3s. And then it is the GT4 battle as well. That is just kicking off very, very nicely indeed. It's difficult to see how anyone's going to catch up to Maciej Malinowski. I mean, that's what a 5-second gap that he's got over Patrick Nage. Yeah, just now. But yeah, awesome race. And again, obviously, it was a risk of something like this happening with 90 plus connections having to be streamed at the same time. It's a bit of fun, and we'll just take a couple of minutes on a break. But yeah, a bit of a breather, and time to make a coffee, I think.
Yes, indeed. So we'll just make sure that we've got pictures back at our end, and we'll obviously continue the show for you. But we've got Michael. Michael is obviously connected to the session in the background, and he's going absolutely bonkers right now, just getting really excited about what's going on. We've got traffic all over the shop, as you can see here, for these GT3 cars now. So this is getting very feisty indeed, and their pings are really, really scaring me as they move around all over the shop. Look like contact almost there with Whitehead and the Maserati, I believe, that he was just going past. But this is not just the time for focus now, David, for the GT4 cars in making sure they don't get in anybody's way, but this is really squeaky bum time now for GT3 cars as well, isn't it?
It certainly is, because look, I mean, Harry Spears are way off now. Tinko van der Velde was right on the back there, but Luke Whitehead now onto the back of Tinko van der Velde. So what was looking like a comfortable second place for Tinko now under a lot of pressure here. And these GT4 cars, you know, where else are they going to go? They can't just disappear out of absolutely nowhere. So yeah, fun times, and this is what to expect over the next hour and a bit.
It's not going to calm down at all, and neither are we. We're going to be on the rev limiter the whole way round. But this is Tinko van der Velde, second place at the moment. Very, very well proven racing driver in SimGrid competition. And I tell you what, I don't envy that marshal there waving the blue flags. His arm is going to be knackered by the end of this evening. As all down the inside of the 76 Porsche goes Tinko. But it's moments like that that really are the ones that define a race like this. You have to be able to take those risks. Just tap the car down the inside the slightest bit. Just show your nose and open the door. But you need to try and do it while not giving the guy behind an opportunity. Wolmuth is now 3 seconds off the back of these two Mercedes. And oh, there's a car. There was that Spears.
I think it was.
It was Spears, surely, wasn't it? Spears has a spin at 130R, and the lead is suddenly handed to Tinko van der Velde. And this goes from being a battle for second and third, David, to the battle for the lead.
Yep. And the thing is that he lost it all by himself. That he's going to catch back up to them, and they're going to realise now that this is for the lead. So the intensity just gets ratcheted up to 11. And if we weren't getting a little bit hyper excited about this, my God, we are now.
Oh, we are indeed. It's absolutely unbelievable, and it's just one of those moments, isn't it? Like, I always think this in motorsport. When someone's going to spin and have a moment and just lose a position or so in a race, you know, a position or even more than that, how often is it the leader that does it? Honestly, it must just be the pressure getting to him, and he's really pushing hard in dark conditions where it's hard to judge your braking zones and your turn in and everything, and he's just overdone it. And now the race is thrown wide open once again between these top three, because, as you said, he's definitely going to catch back up. His pace was superior. But unfortunately, pace means nothing if you're going to loop the thing. Now, you can see just behind these guys in fourth place is, of course, the Aston Martin with Maximilian Wolmuth at the wheel. He's got to be patient now because these guys are having their own little fight. This is Marcel Fusi and Nagy in the Aston Martin. And we're going to go three wide. We're going to go three wide. Oh, Eds. No, and the BMW comes through. The BMW M6 makes its way through there. That's Colin Pride, and he pried the door open. And now he's going to go around the outside of him to spoon. That is traffic management, sunshine. Look at that, back down the inside. He's mugged him off. He has absolutely mugged him off. Oh,
I don't
medic.
even know what to say by that one. We're going to have to get a crime report number on that one. Jeez, oh. And I'd love to say it was in broad daylight as well, but it's obviously very, very dark here. So midnight mugging going on here at the back of the straight. But yeah, it's
wow.
It's par for the course, and I've got a feeling that is going to be the least of our worries tonight.
Yeah. I just heard on my phone there. Cheshire Police, how can I help you? Sorry, I want to report a murder. Sorry, love. Wow, unbelievable. Now, this is Felix Tavinswahaka in the Porsche, number 993, 32nd place. Got another Porsche right behind him there, but I feel that is Dominiak that he's actually got ahead of on this lap. Either that or Dominiak is right in front of him there. There's a bit of confusion going on there. There's Porsches all over the place. I don't want anyone to sit there and say, oh, they all look the same. But it's starting to confuse me with the three of them. And yes, he's ahead of Peters Veem in the number 5 Porsche. Look at the speed he carried around there. Oh, no. Oh, I've witnessed another murder. That was... I don't think I've got...
It's just... You need to get David Attenborough on the voiceover of this. Chaos, death, and destruction everywhere.
Yeah. I've got Michael Hamler absolutely crying in the background. I don't know whether it's crying out of... I've got no words for that. I would love to know if his foot came off the gas 1% at all. That was just, oh look, a Camaro, I'll bounce off the side of that. Oof. Headbutt. Absolutely headbutted him. I'm so... I need to know which driver that was so we can check that they're all right. I think
Chaz,
they hit the wall
I just saw one of the drivers getting a drive-through penalty already.
Oh no. It started early, everybody. Down your drinks. Let's crack on, eh? Oh, flipping it. Oh, we're down to 90, Michael's just reported. We've lost our first car from the race. Now, I think we need to address the fact that Whitehead now leads this race. When there's all the murders and everything going on in the darkness, we have a lead change under the cover of darkness as well. Whitehead now leading this race in the 58 Mercedes.
Yeah, and also we've got an increase of 5 FPS because that one person is left. So that is Victor Nicolay in the Alpine that has thrown in the towel. 9 laps on there, so it's... Jeez!
broke down.
Wow, that's yeah, okay. I'm saying nothing on that one, mate. Oh no, the KTM's going to get absolutely munched by these GT3s.
Oh no! Oh, don't be a bitten hero. Oh, he's managed to survive it. He's managed to survive it, but he's got to be scared now because Harry Spears is flying up behind him. Let's hope that he can navigate past it easily. Looks like he's been held up as well.
To be fair, I'm quite impressed we lasted 25 minutes of commentating on this seriously before it degenerated into just absolute giggles.
Yeah, oh god, yeah. Well, I must apologise to Alpine and Renault. I'm obviously a commentator for that specific brand. I meant no offence in terms of that. But I'll see you at Hungary in a week. Anyway, Harry Spears is now still in 3rd place. Oh, something has meant that we've lost another car. Jason Lewis, we've got 87 now. Michael Hamlet's losing his brain. He's having an absolute meltdown in the background here. But I tell you what, if I could ever get 87 cars on a grid for an event that I organise, oh hello, nearly had 86 there, as Whitehead decided that he wanted to pay to get back in as he goes off at Spoon Curve. Oh, well, now we're down to 86. Right, then, we've still got this battle, though. This is the best thing about it, though, David. 86 cars on track. There's a battle for the overall lead still. We've not got a runaway winner yet.
Oh, it's cracking stuff, and give it another 2 laps and we'll start having the item boxes unlocked. Start getting red shells and banana peels and all that sort of good stuff onto the track. We don't really need it. Look at that Vulcan Birkin up on the inside there in that number 59 Lexus. That is an absolute weapon in 18th place there.
Oh, a lovely, lovely car, the Lexus RCF GT3. Fantastic V8 engine in the front of that car. And it just looks so proper. It's another sort of... You can put it in the category with the likes of... Well, I was going to say the Bentley, but no, the Bentley's a warship on wheels. But you can put it in the likes of your Nissan GTRs, your BMW M6s. You know, it's one of the chunky boys of GT3 machinery, but it just looks and sounds incredible. I know that our co-commentator... Connell Courtney, or Courtney Connell, or whatever we're going to call him tonight, has an undying love for the Lexus, despite the fact that he uses the Aston Martin and pretends that he doesn't. But it's just an epic car all round, and another unlikely GT3 car that nobody expected to arrive on the scene, and it does very well. But meanwhile, the Mercedes is once again proving just how good it is at the front of the pack here, with these 2 drivers getting the most out of it at the moment. Whitehead ahead of Van der Velde, Spears in 3rd in the first iteration of this Mercedes AMG. We've got Nico Hillebrand in the Honda NSX in 7th at the moment. He's going pretty well. He's got a big gap over Brabner behind him, who is trying to fend off Austins at this moment in time. But still, a good spread of manufacturers so far, but the Mercedes looking very, very strong here, David.
I'm just trying to keep an eye on that minimap now. It's just an absolute swarm of cars everywhere. It's just racing, yes. Marcel Fouzy, though, trying to hunt down Patrick Nage in that Aston Martin. And look at that, up the inside goes Gates. Thought he was being a big, brave man, but not quite. Is he going to go round the outside? Are you kidding me? How has he just done that? Almost made it work, but the Mercedes going to have the grunt there. Oh, side by side, almost straight up murder.
I just thought he was just going to right-hand down him out there. He's just going to go, yeah, watch this. But now we've got the Mercedes coming back at the GT3 McLaren as well. Down the inside he goes. Oh, it looked like they made contact there for a second, but the ping sorts itself out, and he does get through at Spoon Curve, goes past Nagy. But now, of course, the Aston Martin's going to get the slipstream. They've got a Porsche GT3 coming past them as well as they head down towards 130R. He's going to be well clear of them by the time they get there. But Fouzy now, he's concentrating. You could say he's got his pink aerial out, and now he's absolutely on with it as they go towards the Casio Triangle. But that Aston looking very racy behind him. He's actually caught very quickly up to the Camaro in front now as well, which is pretty important for him. Although I believe, is that Camaro a lap down on these guys? It is, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're spot on that one. Cody Pride up to 4th place in that BMW, so he was down in 7th last time I think we checked on him. So great result for that. And look at Harry Spears. I wonder, has he got damage on that car, because he was definitely the quicker of the three Mercedes, and now he's getting absolutely gapped by Luke Whitehead and by Tinko van der Velde, and he's in clean air. These two are fighting each other, but Harry Spears is dropping back, or is he maybe trying to fuel save a little bit?
Yeah, that's very true, because you can get quite a lot of slipstream around this circuit, of course, up towards 130R as well. And then down the main straight as well, it's incredibly long, as we saw with all 100 cars being lined up. But this is a great run so far. This BMW is certainly coming into its own a bit here for Cody Pride. Happy birthday indeed. Car 1 is going for P1. He's got a little bit more progress to make before he gets there, but he's certainly going about it the right way at the minute. To be fair, if I was him, I'd just stay with Harry Spears for a lap or so. Well, that's making the most out of the traffic, isn't it? Stay with him for a lap or so. Just see if you are that much quicker than him that you're going to be losing time, or see with how fast Harry is whether you do actually just end up being towed along by him towards the leaders, and whether you can use that to save fuel. There's a lot of assessment needs to go on right now for Cody, but he's a racing driver. He's probably going to ignore me and go for the move. Yeah, of course he is. Shut up, Chaz. Oh, there's a Porsche in the way. Excuse me. Oh, they need to make sure that... I know that the indicators still work on a lot of these cars in ACC, which is what I love. I'd just be driving around the whole way like proper, like 2 style with the... Kanjo style, with the hazards on, just on the rev limiter everywhere. Just, sorry, excuse me, bye.
Yeah, but it's a BMW, so it doesn't have them. So, you know, it's not really going to have that issue.
Yeah, it depends if he's gone for that as the optional extra. I didn't get it on mine, so, yeah. Although, to be fair...
2-week driver training course, I heard, for that.
Oh, is it? Oh, flipping out. I need to sort my life out. But no, to be honest, the other day, just a quick side story. I went to test drive a new car the other day. I thought I'd have a go in a Hyundai i30N for a laugh. But when I parked up at the dealership, I own a BMW 318D M Sport Estate, and I parked up and covered about 1.5 parking spaces, and I blamed that parking spaces were too small at Hyundai. And the woman that I was there to meet to show me this car said, "You've parked like a typical BMW driver." And I said, well, I drive a BMW. If everyone thinks I'm an idiot, I'm not going to let them down, am I? And she fell about the place laughing with that. But yeah, to be fair, not so idiotic driving in the BMW so far tonight, really. They're going quite well.
Yeah, they really are, but 56 minutes left to go. Oh, contact halfway through. Cody Pride hit by a car sitting in the middle of the track. Doesn't seem to be too much damage done to that car, but that's going to have taken the momentum that he had off, and yeah, that is not exactly what you want. I think that might have been the 32 that was sitting in the middle of the centre of the track there. So that's not exactly what you want halfway through, to see Ventislav Rechinov sitting halfway around going, hello.
Yeah, it may have been bright green, but that doesn't move it out of the way, does it? It's certainly not ideal circumstances. Now, Hamer has got a drive-through penalty in the 998 Nissan. Interesting. Not quite sure why he's got that one, but Godzilla on home turf, unfortunately, being reprimanded so far. Harry Spears into the pits. Now, I'm wondering if that's just an early stop from him, or whether he's had some sort of issue, maybe even damage, because that's what I'd be worried about with Pride. Although, to be fair, we've got a number of them have pitted. Or have they? Where's Van der Velde gone? Van der Velde's dropped down, actually. He's done his stop already, hasn't he? That's completely passed me by, that has. I tell you what, there's so much to keep your eye on here. I'm sure everyone can understand how difficult this is probably going to get for us now, David, now that the pit stops are coming into play. Yeah,
this is just going to be absolute bedlam, to put it another way. On about Yannick Hamer's drive-through penalty, I think that's going to be for track limits there. I can't see any penalties going out tonight. It's if I was race control, I'd be off for a night in the pub, because this is just it's some nights you're going to win, some nights it's just like, yep, you guys have at it and we'll see you in the morning, quite honestly.
That's what it's like the job for a boxing announcer, isn't it, really? You guys should have at it. I'll see you tomorrow. But, you know, if he's playing the drink per punt game, Mr. Hamlet will be completely horizontal by the time this stream is finished, I think. But we did witness the true murder before it's a 130R. Hello. But this is Alex Nunez in the Vispa.io McLaren. Stunning looking car, the 720S, especially the GT3. It really had to grow on me with those rear arches, but I'll tell you what, it is an absolute peach of a car, glorious to look at. And he is now chasing down the 427 Ferrari of Chaz just in front of him there, who is right there with him now. He's got a really good run up towards the Degners, doesn't quite keep the momentum through the first of them. Now they've got more traffic coming through here as they go up towards the hairpin. What can he do here? Looked like he made contact there with the GT4 BMW. He's gone a bit deep into the hairpin though, but you've got to think that might give him a bit of a slingshot on the way out. There's a lot of lines through there, isn't there, really? Especially when you're having a battle, because you don't need to worry too much about compromising your track position.
Oh, there's loads of lines through that left-hander. Unfortunately, 9 out of 10 of them are just slow. there's one fast line, and then there's all the other lines that you tend to go through. The number 21 of Para getting a drive-through penalty as well. So it's not just the big bad Godzilla of Yannick Hamer getting that drive-through penalty as well. And again, I think it's more than likely they're going to be track limits or for a little punterino. But Damon Woods here for Evolution Racing Team in the number 56 McLaren, just kind of keeping himself to himself right now. He's doing a decent job down there in 17th place, chasing down the 16th place car there of Ash Knight, and doing a really good job as well, because the cars in front are pitting, so that's going to move him up to about 13th position. And again, it's obviously, I can understand some of the folk watching, and they're a little bit confused as to the way that the cars are behaving on track. So it's important to kind of point out that while the server can handle up to about maybe say 100 different drivers, that doesn't mean it's going to do it working very, very well. So you don't get the same smoothness, you don't get the same way that the same polished look that you get from Assetto Corsa Competizione when you've got 89 plus connections connected to it. So you just have to bear with it. It'll come and go as the connections improve and things like that, but for the most part it does a blooming good job of doing 80 plus connections at the same time.
To be fair, when you've got to consider that usually my Cheshire crew infected internet would be connected to it, it's actually holding up very well with all of these lot. Because let's not forget as well, these drivers are all around the world. I believe that Mr. Woods is actually, this is just judging on the fact he's part of Evolution Racing Team, I believe he is in Australia as well, hence the high ping. But he still can race competitively and closely with all of these other drivers out there. So again, one of the absolute arts and beauties of sim racing is that drivers from all over the world can compete against each other in such close formation as well. They can drive door to door against each other. They may be a little bit more prone to the odd bit of contact here or there, spitting a car out of the way, but 99% of the time it works flawlessly. And as David said there, the ACC itself handles it all so well and makes it look so good for all of us. But you do just lose out that little bit on the sort of body language of the cars, which is usually what we'd pick up on. It makes our jobs a little bit more difficult, but this isn't just about us this evening. It's about all these drivers having a fantastic race of it, really enjoying themselves out there. And this is one of the most challenging scenarios to put them in, isn't it? It really puts them to the test. But as you said before, I'm sure they'll all come out laughing and smiling.
Yeah, absolutely. How can you not have an absolute blast on a night like this where it's just... look at that mini-map. That mini-map is the most ludicrous thing I think I've ever seen in sim racing. It is just like a swarm of angry little ants going away around the track here at Suzuka. But, Luke Whitehead's 6 seconds to the good over Cody Pride, and Cody Pride getting himself into second place, that is a turn up for the books, because while Tinko van der Velde has tried to do the undercut and get himself into the pits nice and early on, he's not really lapping all that much faster than Luke Whitehead's 2:02.2 for van der Velde, and it's 2:02.7 for Luke Whitehead. So it's all very well, but he's going to have to try and get himself through traffic as well and do some of those cars that he's already got his way past. With 50 minutes left to go in the race, we've got another yellow flag as the 27 comes into to harm's way there and is pretty much stranded. Gets going again. We've got a stop go 30 this time for the 35th position car. That is, of course, the number 881 of Clement Gergeau. Stop go 30. That is probably the most severe you can get.
I'm glad you did that name justice, because I really didn't earlier, did I? You've got Chaldiakis behind him as well, serving a drive-through. But yeah, stop go 30. That's a savage penalty. I mean, driving through the pits slowly enough, that's just horrible to do, especially when you're in a race car. But when you have to just sit there for half a minute, which is about a quarter of a lap in this, it'll feel just horrendous for him in the pit lane. So hopefully he can recover from that, but we all know that it's not easy to do, especially just mentally as well. You know, you have a big morale hit when you get something like that, don't you? Especially if you've done something wrong to get it. You drive frustrated, and we often see that drivers that get penalised, they then go out and get more penalties later because of the red mist descending.
And that's exactly what happens. It's all about risk management, isn't it? It's about risk mitigation. And when you've got, 80 plus other cars around you, Chaz, the thing that you've got is that a bad day can go even worse. What the good? Did you just see that, Chaz? Did that actually just happen round the outside of those two cars?
Yeah, that was not obeying track limits, but also being incredibly entertaining there from the Aston Martin. I just missed the number on it, unfortunately, but that was absolutely fantastic to watch. Really strong commitment there. And again, we have drivers making their way through the field incredibly quickly. That was the 60th place overall car, although at least it said 60 on the windscreen, but I think I may have been wrong. So I'll admit now, I don't have any idea what number that was, but still, very entertaining. This is Walmouth in the number 16 car. He's in 11th place at the moment. The Aston Martin V8 roaring its way towards Spoon Curve. And now here's some unnecessary argy-bargy as an Aston Martin gets tipped out of the way. Excuse me. There's another one off the circuit there. Now, is that Walmouth? No, it wasn't Walmouth, was it? But who else was that? Was that the number 71 Aston Martin there that had just gone off the circuit? Pretty sure that was Felix Ruppert that's just been off. And yeah, he's back going now, fighting with the McLaren, but he's had a moment halfway round 200R there. That's a very strange place to go off, because usually they lose it coming out of the hairpin and you see them either on the infield or on the outside of the corner, but he was halfway around 200R there. That must have been a really big moment.
Certainly not where you want to have something happen like that, but again, it's just a case of recovering what's happened and hoping that things have gone on and that it can be recovered. I'm still trying to ID that car. I think, actually, that might have been the Lexus that was going round the outside, and if that was a Lexus, that may very well be. You'll just have to give me a second while I try and have a look. I can't actually see any of the Lexuses that could have been around the outside. Maybe 59 of Volkan Bakirden around the outside. It looked like a Lexus anyway.
Well, they all look good, we know that. Now, this is for the lead. There's the Zonta manoeuvre that I mentioned earlier. Not quite where I expected to see it, but that is Van der Velde losing out to Whitehead. Goes down the inside, there's contact. Van der Velde sideways. How did he save that through the first of the Degners? I do not know, but Whitehead took advantage of that, and what an absolute perler of a move. He then said, nope, I'm going to close the door on you here, sunshine. Now, speaking of red mist, David, Van der Velde is going to be pulling his hair out right now, and he's going to go screaming after Whitehead in the other Mercedes.
He sure is. And do you know, Van der Velde has changed over the past 6 months. He used to be this really consistent and methodical driver, and the last few races I've seen him in, he's been very, very angry, very aggressive, and very, very pushy to get his point across. So we saw another example of that there, and again, you just have to wonder, was that the right time? Was that the best possible opportunity to try and make that move happen? But look, if I'm Luke Whitehead, I don't want to be looking in my mirrors right now, because he is an angry chap.
It's one of those moments where you just point your mirror down. You're just like, let's just pretend that's not there. Yeah, just lean back, one arm on the wheel, and just chill. Oh, Mia Rose has had a spin at 130R, maybe a bit of contact involved there. I was just looking over at my timing screen just to check something, but Mia had a little bit of a spin on her own there. Now, McLaren's for days down the straight here. There's an Aston Martin going down the inside there as well. There's so many different cars now overlapping one another, all on different laps here. We've got GT3 cars lapping other GT3 cars while also putting a lap on GT4 machinery. So this is the real moment where it gets confusing, because GT3 cars, when they're coming through, they're just trying to have their own race, and the GT4s need to try and judge that. This is for P3. Cody Pride on the back of Van der Velde. So the two of them closer together now after Pride's pit stop. He's in 6th position overall, but 3 cars ahead still need to pit. That's Austin's, Guillian and Verdier in the 882 Porsche. But this BMW, to be honest, I said earlier he was going to put a target on his back with the number 1 on it, maybe misunderstanding the purpose of it. But oh no, Van der Velde's going to get rezonted again nearly there. But this number 1 BMW has been the star of the show for me so far.
Cody Pride has been absolutely on fire tonight. He's been sensational in that BMW. And again, Tinko van der Velde just hasn't had the pace to match what his qualifying was doing. Cody Pride, I've got to be honest, well and truly on for, if not 2nd place, possibly taking the race win just now.
Yeah, he needs to just keep this consistency up, manage the traffic well, but you never know what could come your way when traffic is on the menu. 45 minutes of the race left to go. Well, less than that, 42 minutes and change. But this has got a long way to go now. Anything could still change here at Suzuka. There is the beautiful Honda NSX GT3 of Nico Hillebrand, and take your pick. Who do you want to look at? There's so many of them coming through to 130. There's one of the M6s in front of him. Now that is Harvey, and that's going to be for position as well on the 49 car, round the outside into Casio Triangle. And as Peter Mackay once said, calculated, David.
Yeah, that was smooth. I like that. But how awesome was that? That was just one of the most spectacular things I think I've seen there. Seeing, about 15 cars coming round 130R and on the run down to Casio Triangle is just glorious. Cody Pride, I mean, he is just absolutely firing it. That was a bit of an unfortunate moment there for David Fong, who got poked rudely up the rear there in his Porsche from Cody Pride in his BMW, trying to muscle him out the way.
Yeah, that was maybe uncalled for, but he had to try and have a pop. He had to try and see what he could do, but you never know. I was half expecting a Fong and up the rear pun there, to be fair, but I don't quite think I managed to get one out in time. Anyway, Jonathan Riley right now in the Porsche, all over the back of Burkle in the 116 BMW. Number 116 and BMW is not something we're used to seeing over here in the UK, of course, in the British Touring Car Championship. Usually they're on opposite sides of the camp battling against one another. But this is another example of just these great battles that we have still going on all the way through the pack. We can't obviously look at everything at once, but there is constantly stuff developing, constantly things going on in this field. And that anthill that you mentioned before on that mini-map, I'm sure the track shape is evolving as the race goes on. There's that much movement on it. It's absolutely incredible to look at. I don't know where to look. We've got 61 cars stopped, but we look at this because this is effectively the battle for 2nd place in this race so far. Cody Pride can certainly hold his head up with pride no matter what after this performance this evening. We go on board with him now, right up behind Tinko van der Velde. And onto the straight once again. This is just epic racing between the two, but so persistent, Cody Pride. He's not giving this up, is he? He's really making Tinko work for it.
He really is, and a fantastic battle right now with Cody Pride raging on. But I think once Van der Velde gets a little bit of a gap and gets going, he might be able to stretch away with this. I'm just having a look actually at the GT4s. And I'm trying to work out what has happened to Malinowski. Now, whether or not, I don't know if we can maybe switch the timing tower over to GT4s for a second, but Malinowski has done his pits, and I'm just trying to see if everyone in front still has to pit. So there's, it's a very, very unusual one as we see Kevin Gilbrecht for Random Racing by SRX. Ogorodnikov is in 15th place. And he was last in the GT3s. How has he done that?
I tell you what, I actually jumped on one of Igor's streams not long ago, and the appreciation for him and his pace is never ending. He is always an exciting driver to watch. We've seen so much from him in the first year of SimGrid competition, and to be honest, this is just a performance that highlights exactly what we love about not just SimGrid, but drivers such as Igor as well. And look at this from Cody Pride. Absolutely launching that BMW everywhere he can. It's like trying to throw a postcode around the outside of the Mercedes. It's absolutely brilliant persistence from him, though. You've got to love it. But yeah, Igor Ogorodnikov, what an absolute star he has been since the very beginning of SimGrid. And he continues to shine through. 15th place at the moment. Keep your eye on that number 41 Aston Martin, everybody, because it will continue to rise up the order. Someone that's hoping he'll continue to rise up the order, though, is this man, Cody Pride. And Tinko van der Velde is going to do everything he can to stop him.
He surely is. Just come back to Igor Ogorodnikov. Again, I've been fortunate to have about as much time as yourself looking over him and watching his progression. And I keep having to say this, you know, the first 4 months or so of watching his races was the most frustrating experience because, you know, I would be so harsh on him because he'd show amazing potential and then squander it with stupid incidents and killing Ryan Maintenance into the wall. So I'll come back to that in a second because the 23 car is into the wall. How's he done that on a straight? That looks like maybe a hardware failure.
Potentially, yeah, because he's not jumped back yet. The car is still sat there. Either that or he just wants some screen time for SMBC, whatever that is. But he's, yeah, that's not an ideal place to be. Either that or he's nipped off for a wee. You never know. But okay, Michael's just confirmed it. Thank you very much, mate, that he has half brake input. Oh, the Camaro on the inside just scared the life out of me. Careful, boys. Careful. But yeah, apparently, obviously, when your wheel disconnects or you have a hardware failure, it registers half throttle, half brakes, and you're obviously not changing gears or anything, and the car isn't moving at all. Whoa, the ping! Oh no, that's not ping. Tinko van der Velde has gone way off, and he didn't even get to spoon curve before making a spoon of himself, and he has gone flying off the circuit. I'm not sure whether he got any help there because the ping really showed the cars moving around a lot, but that seemed to me like he just overcooked it there, David, and he's just touched the grass, and around it is gone, and Pride moves up one more position.
I think we need to get a couple of Fs in chat for that one. That was very unfortunate. He's going again. I mean, to be fair, he is going again. He's lost about 4 or 5 seconds on that one. But Cody Pride, there was an air of inevitability for that one. What I want to see is whether Cody Pride can chase down Luke Whitehead now for this race lead, because Whitehead is absolutely away with it. A fantastic effort. And you know, I'm looking at Ryan Meenan there in the 23 pulled off to the side. I don't know, guys. I mean, I hate to say it, but you know, if that was a Thrustmaster wheel, I don't think that would have happened. Oh, Paddy Spears! Oh, that was a code brick moment and a half there.
Nico Hillebrand says, oh, I wonder what the side of that Mercedes tastes like. Here, mate, have a Honda. Bang! Into the door. And we have another car stationary at the side of the road. Flipping heck. These boys just love chucking it into that outside wall, don't they? They really do. And I was just about to say before, I thought Pride Month had just concluded, but I tell you what, Cody's making it Pride Night. He's absolutely on fire in that BMW. But what a weird moment that was for Nico Hillebrand. It's like he came wide to go around the traffic, dipped a wheel on the grass, and then suddenly ended up in the left footwell of Harry Spears' Mercedes.
It's a classic snap oversteer, I think. There, he's went one way. The car's started to do the pendulum effect, as you so elegantly put it in the build up to it. He's tried to catch it, and yeah, it's not happened. However, Maciej Malinowski, Chaz, have a look at that team name. That is brilliant.
Well, let's hope he doesn't, because he's absolutely on it at the minute. Yeah, instead he's passed the he's passed the baton on of disconnections to our wonderful Mike Yao, unfortunately. But yeah, he's doing a great job in that Porsche at the moment. The 992 machine, currently on his way down to Spoon Curb. And you know what? He's still even challenging cars in the GT3 category as well. I mean, even with the times that he was doing in qualifying, he was almost as quick as some of the slower GT3 cars. It just shows how incredibly talented he is in GT4 machinery. And it's, to be fair, they're not the easiest cars to drive either, because if you come from a GT3 car to a GT4 car, you expect it to have that same incredible grip, but it's a lot more lively and it's a lot more... Whoa, hello, that was lively. But it's what you'd call a driver's car, because it moves around and it gives you a lot of feedback underneath. It tells you what it's doing. There's a car around there at the chicane, which I really hope it wasn't the car we were just looking at. Hillebrand has just gone off at 130R. You can see the 557 had gone yellow. He's now back on the circuit. That's such a shame to see the NSX ending up in the wall. It's such a pretty machine as well, but it's easy to do it, isn't it, David? And the longer the race goes on, the more fatigued you'll be, the more worn out the tyres will be. And yeah, he's on his way into the pits now, surely with damage.
It certainly looks like. Can you believe, Chaz, we've already done nearly an hour of this race? We've only got half an hour left to go. It's absolutely flown by. But look, I mean, now we're down to about, say, 78 runners, right? I mean, this is now, we could do this. We could do this on a regular basis. It's just it's really enjoyable. And do you know what? It's so much fun. It's nice actually to have a race that is dedicated as just a fun giggle night, and everybody in the community getting together and having a laugh.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's absolutely awesome. We still get to enjoy great racing as well. We may have seen a very blatant murder earlier, but I'm going to keep coming back to that because that was one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen, but no offence to the driver that got caught up in it. But yeah, we've got a load of manufacturers all really well represented. We've got ACC looking at its very best, with Mike Yau's PCs running at about 400 degrees Celsius, so thank you very much, Mike, and I'm glad you've got that industrial-sized fan working in the background. But you know, we've got the best of everything at the moment. Two of the best commentators in the world, I must say, as well. We've got Michael Hamlet, of course, giving us endless information in the background. And we've got great drivers and a great community behind it all as well. Everybody involved in SimGrid has just been absolutely awesome from start to finish. And this night is really highlighting why we love it so much. Not just particular drivers, even the Mercedes there stopping just to take a nice picture on the grass at the side with a little picnic there in the middle of Japan. But it's just, I love it. Absolutely love it. And you know, it's what makes me gutted that I'm not sort of commentating here more often at the minute, with obviously clashes with real world stuff. It's you know, I've been here since day one with commentating with David on the very first event, and it's just grown and grown and grown, and it's fantastic. Long may it continue. Definitely. I'm here to stay though, I'm telling you that. Michael can't get rid of me that much.
Well, just keep talking that way about the Alpines and you might get some more gigs in here instead. Goodness me. No, look, again, we said this right at the start, and I completely echo what's said. It's really nice, actually, because for us, you know, we take this as a vested interest, and obviously you've said that you don't get to do it as much as you'd like to just now, but you were here for the beginning, and you know 90% of the names that are on here, just like myself, and we see them week in, week out doing these championships. And I said this actually last week, it's like this really weird sense of pride as a commentator you get, seeing these names that you'd see all the time, and seeing how they progress, seeing the Swede come up, and seeing names that maybe they were down in the 20s for, you know, they didn't have the pace to be in contention, and now suddenly they're going for the win. You're like, it's a little party that just feels so proud of these drivers. So awesome stuff. Look, and we have had an hour's racing, and you would not say that, you know, this is anything different from any of our championship races.
Yeah, that's it. You know, if you were to join in halfway through, you wouldn't really know that this wasn't part of a championship unless you knew, you know, the exact purpose of this event. And it's just that everybody's going to enjoy themselves and just celebrate what this fantastic community and great group of people as well that got the SimGrid started. And I must say as well, you know, Michael Hamlet himself has just been an absolute legend from the get-go here. He's put up with so much rubbish from me as well, and all my moaning and all sorts throughout every single series that we've done. But we've had so many laughs all the way through it. And, you know, even in the brief moments where you and I have crossed paths, David, over different endurance streams where we've just handed off to one another and I've offended you with your accent and all sorts. It's, you know, every part of it has just been so pleasant, and the last half hour of this race is going to be just that. We've got cars everywhere, traffic everywhere, but still great racing everywhere.
Right, that's enough of the loving. Let's get the murder back on the go for the last half hour. Let's just make it a death extravaganza on the stream here. Goodness me! Look, it's difficult because obviously the GT3 is settling into the rhythm now, through into the mix with the GT4s, who, in all of their defence, they've been having a cracking little race. We've really not been able to give them as much attention as they deserve, because they have just had a cracking race all the way through, especially the likes of Paweł Jarzybowski for Forza Italia. That was one of the liveries that you really liked, although I was a little bit surprised, Chaz, when you said you sounded so shocked when you saw a Maserati going slow. I'm more impressed that we've got a Maserati still in essentially what's that, the top 10 of the GT4s.
I thought you were going to say we're still surprised we've got a Maserati running, to be honest.
Well, that too.
But yeah, he's going well though. Jarzybowski, he's going very well indeed. Looking good while he does it as well. I've always found that car to be a very odd shape. I don't quite know what it is. It's like someone's got a half-squeezed sort of tube of toothpaste. All of the body of it seems to be just at one end, and then you've got this long snout on it. But certainly looks phenomenal. The road car is just incredible. Anyway, this is Ferrier in the Audi. Anyone that knows the name Ferrier will remember Tom Ferrier from the British Touring Car Championship in the early 2000s. Bit of flashy going on there as the GT3 cars make their way through. But to be fair, once that Bentley moves out the way, I imagine Ferrier will expect to see daylight, but he's going to be very wrong, because the other side of it is just hello darkness, my old friend, because there's a lot of real estate between them and the next car up the road. I say that, and there actually isn't. Igor Ogorodnikov, it's just been pointed out, is up to 11th from 45th on the grid. Honestly, it's a good thing that nobody suggested a drinking game where every time Igor gains a place you have a shot, because some people would be floored by now, wouldn't they?
Yes, they would. I mean, it's insane pace that he's got. He's got the pace to get up into the top 5, no question about it. What I am interested though is that gap between Cody Pride and Luke Whitehead starting to fluctuate a little bit. Starting to come down a tiny little bit. It was about 5.7, 5.8. Was it 4.6, now 5.3, but 25 minutes in the race. Is that too little too late? Quite possibly.
Maybe. Don't tell anybody though, but he just got into the top 10. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. But again, really highlights the talent that is Igor Ogorodnikov. An absolute star. And once I figured out how to say his name, I could just confidently tell everybody how good he was.
It's literally just with a Y. Igor Ogorodnikov.
Yeah, that's it. And it took me so long. Here's Godzilla, also blocking out the sun this evening. Yannick Hamer actually had the drive-through penalty cleared earlier, which is very good indeed for him and the big beefy Nissan, the Keck sim racing car. It's just great to see a car like this represented, because when we've had the Endurance Cup, the World Cup, some teams have just gone and picked a car like this just because they're the only one to do it, just to see if they can wring its neck and get a one-off result out of it that brings in some big points. You just love to see it get represented, don't you? I mean, I love the GTR. I think it's one of the best-looking GT3 cars there has ever been. It's beefy from every angle. The rear wing is just massive. I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen good old Will Tregurtha and Graham Tilley's car that they race in the MSVR GT Cup, but they have a bigger wing than normal, I believe, on the back of that Nissan GTR GT3. Or either that or it's the first version of the wing that they did where it was monstrous. It's just ridiculous. You could get planning permission to build on it. It's just crazy.
The GTR's always disappointed me as a car. It's a wonderful looking machine. I mean, it just looks the part and it sounds amazing, but when you drive it, it's just so disappointing. It feels like and I hate to use the Jimmy Broadbent term here, but it just feels like a shed on wheels. It just feels like you're lugging about a suitcase rather than a £500,000 worth of GT3 sports car machinery. Ogorodnikov, 9th place now. He is just actually getting back to that point I was going to finish about Ogorodnikov when I watched him as the GTR decides to go and play on the beach. Ogorodnikov, again, when I first came across him as a driver, right, I would rag on him repeatedly because he was so fast, but he would just get himself into stupid situations, overly aggressive, trying to batter people out the way, getting drive-through penalties and losing all the work that he did. This year, this past 6 months, he has been a completely rejuvenated driver. He is one of the most exciting talents on the SimGrid that you will see, and he is easily one of the fastest drivers that you will see full stop in Assetto Corsa Competizione. He doesn't always have the best qualifying pace, but once he gets into the race, my God, he can take cars like you will never ever believe. Like, you get him around cars and the moves that he actually pulls, you're sitting there tearing your hair out going, how the heck did he just do that?
He's just got this awareness to just pick out a moment of when to go up the inside, when to hang back, when to get a cutback or something like that. And it's when you see talent from drivers like that it really does excite you, and it's always amazing to watch. Now, here is the KTM with Sarah Dove in the wonderful, rather looks like it's made out of Lego Chevy Camaro. I say that as if the Camaro is made of Lego. Look what's in front of it. Honestly, like you said before, it's like a doorstop with stickers on it. But you've got Brunner. Actually, that's not Brunner in front of them, because Brunner is coming up as a...
It's Foch.
I'm just thinking in the Mercedes. That's lap down, actually, 73rd place. But it is Foch in the KTM. Contact! Big drifteroo from the Camaro. Oh, look at that down the inside from the Porsche. Hello! What a fantastic bit of driving that was. He went, all right then, if you want to go off over there to Kyoto, I'll see you in a bit. Love that. Great opportunism once again. We need to find out who that was, because, I mean, Michael Hamlet's just lost his mind as well. Was it the number 993? 881, I've just been told by Mike Yao. So the 881 machine is, as Michael's just pointed out, the name that we can't say, actually. Although, to be fair, David, you nailed it before, didn't you?
Jojo.
There you go. See, someone.
I've got absolutely no idea. I'm just that's what I've committed to for the night now. That's.
I call him Gergau.
Just call him Brian.
Call him Brian. Right, I've got people laughing in the background at me now. I bet they couldn't see this gentleman's name. Nikos Chaldiakis in Nikolidis GP. Thing is, I've not done the accent like Goldschmidt does. I love that Alex chucks such accents at things. He absolutely nails it when he says German and Italian names. I've just had Michael request just for me to just say the word Ogorodnikov just for the sake of it. So there you go.
To be fair, you pretty much nailed that. I'm sorry. I just want to take a couple of laps just watching that KTM. It's like I'm so bipolar when it comes to my opinion on that car, because like half of the lap, right, it's amazing, it looks fantastic, and the second bit of it, it's like, what is this? This is an absolute joke. It's like somebody's taken a little shopping cart and put a GT3 engine into it and thought, yeah, that's it, let's call it a day, boys.
Well, as you can see, it's handling as you'd expect there around 130.
What, like a shopping trolley?
Yes, Samir Foch just flies off. We've got a battle for 42nd place in GT4 as well, which is this. Korolev in the number 2 Porsche, and then Phillips behind in the number 30 Porsche. They were only 96 thousandths of a second over the line last time around. Sorry, this is for 8th and 9th in class. It was 42nd overall. Michael has corrected me. I jumped the gun a little bit there. But Luka Korolev actually looks like he's going away. It's Funny Formula Wombats, which is actually quite a good name in itself, which is one of the many interesting team names that we get here, because I think a few of them that are watching, I think, was it Lucas Rommel and a few others had the name, which I pronounced Veshite, which was definitely not meant to be pronounced Veshite. It's earlier on in the world of SimGrid, and apparently they're not named that anymore, and I'm massively disappointed in that. GTRC Endurance Team, apparently. But one of my favourite ones is, I think they were called Disconnected Motorsport or something like that, and the car number was 404.
Oh, yeah, the Connection Lost Racing.
Yeah, Connection Lost Racing, that's it.
Yeah,
absolutely, that is one of the best memes out of all of it. I love that. But that's the thing, clever banter is just, it's very welcomed here at SimGrid, and it's another part of the community that we absolutely adore. Now, this is the number 7 Aston Martin of Daniel Austin's for Austin's Motor Racing, chasing down Ferrier in the Audi, the 303 machine, the only Audi, well, that I can see so far in the top 10 at least. Let me just see if there's any others, because we haven't come across any more so far. 33rd place, actually, Loris Enard is in another one of them, and then we have Niklas Erbic, Jan Niklas Erbic in 44th place in another one, but only a handful of the Audis. Now, that surprises me, because the Audi, to me, has always seemed like a very competitive car.
It's looked at, but it's just not had any legs on it at all tonight. I mean, look at the Astons. They're well and truly got the run on it. And look, we said about the Astons, so we say about 5 cars trying to come into that Casio triangle. It's just never going to work. The Audi, it's always been a bit hit and miss, as we've got 3 cars going wide on the start-finish straight. It'd be nice, actually. I wonder if we can switch over to the GT4 timing tower just for a second, give our viewers a little update on our GT4s just now. There we go. Oh, that's Cormac Ryan, that's a very interesting way of going right there. So there you go, Maciek Malinowski still ahead of Patrick Nage, who is in second place. Marcel Fuzi in third place, just a second and a half behind Patrick Nage. It's then Kirill Konstantin Lozanov in the Ginetta 999, 12 seconds behind that. Burkle in 5th, Nairola in 6th, Ware in 7th, Korolov in 8th, Phillips in 9th, and Erbich in 10th. That is your GT4s just now. We'll keep an eye on them and come back to them just before the finish of the race. But, I mean, our attention really gets taken up with all of the action going on through the field. I mean, the overtaking that's happened. Can you believe, Chaz, we've only got 17 minutes left to go in the race?
It's nuts. I honestly don't know where the time has gone, but time honestly does fly when you're having fun. I think the pair of us knew when we were finally going to work together that the time would fly by, to be honest, but it's been an epic race so far with plenty going on all the way. And, apparently Kilian Raiminen's wheelbase switched to Xbox mode. Now, I know that some wheelbases, they have like a PC and an Xbox mode where it obviously puts the data through to the system differently, but yeah, if it's done that, then obviously it wouldn't have been picked up by his PC as a valid piece of equipment, basically. So that's a real shame for him. But
yeah,
like
that's not the best. I mean, if I'm looking at my thrustmaster wheel here, and that switch is literally just a switch that's on the front of the wheel. How inconvenient for him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I've hit mine by accident once, but that's when I got angry and tried to punch it, because
it's when you hear that noise, isn't it? That noise that just makes your stomach empty.
The Windows noise that I hear way too often when my USB audio thing decides to disconnect. Anyway, Cormac Ryan certainly isn't disconnected from the back of this Bentley in front of him here, with Brabner at the wheel. I'm really surprised, actually, before that when these two made contact into the first Degner, that it was the Bentley that came off worse. It's like, honestly, trying to move a planet when you hit the side of a Bentley. It's like an M1 Abrams tank going up against a PLP 50 in comparison with these cars. But I tell you what, Cormac Ryan showed really good sportsmanship and gave him the place back straight away. That's one of the main things we have to consider here, that, you know, these drivers know that incidents get reviewed and things get looked at. You know, we've got a very, very strong and active panel of stewards, and race control are really hot on it, as Cormac has decided to really test how much grip is out there on the runoff.
There is the corner there, mate, honest. Chaz, what if I told you something, right? What if I told you 15 minutes left to go in the race and the gap between first and second place is down to half what it was 5 laps ago?
Let me get another beer.
Luke Whitehead in the gap to Cody Pride is down to 2.7 seconds. Remember, we had a word about it about 10 minutes ago, and it was 5.5 seconds. Huge props to Dan Pride in the YouTube chat for pointing this one out. That gap is coming down, and coming down drastically, so either it's been traffic or something has happened to Luke Whitehead there.
Yeah, indeed. Now, Cody Pride has been the real star of the show for us tonight. Can he continue that and be the star of the show for everybody by taking the win? We'll have to see. This is Ryan Ware, and he'll be looking in his mirror saying, where on earth is that little pesky Porsche with Phillips at the wheel? Right behind him. And we've been told that this is Whitehead's first ever race in the Mercedes AMG. That just makes me feel sick. Like, at Suzuka, he said, actually. So you'd hope that he knew the car well by now. But that's the thing with some of these drivers, though, isn't it, David? They can jump in cars like this, and they just know exactly what to expect. They get into a rhythm with it, and they go, "Oh, I'm all right in this," and then they just disappear off over the horizon. I don't get it.
Some people say it's great. I personally find it absolutely disgusting. As somebody that's like consistently 2-3 seconds off the pace of these absolute aliens, I'm watching it and I'm like, what's the point?
Yeah.
I'll just go and jump into Split 4 then. See you later, guys. And then I realised that I love the attention to stay in Split 1 anyway. So.
Oh, flipping out. Well, we've got just under 14 minutes left of the race now. We've got a yellow flag. Somebody off at the... Was that the Degners? Yeah, it was after the Degners. Yeah, there he is, getting back on the 427 machine as confirmed by Mr. Hamlet behind the scenes. But we look now at the 616 of Board Dad Motorsports. Oh, I'm going to have to borrow that team name if I ever enter an event I really don't fancy doing. I shouldn't really say that with Mike Yao of Zanshow. being the producer, it's the team I drive for. Hi, Mike. He's just said, excuse me. But Ryan Ware, 9th in class at the moment. Phillips now ahead of him. And again, just talking cars for a moment, as we look at another very interesting machine, which of course is the Keck Sim Racing Nissan GTR. The Chevrolet Camaro is quite an unlikely GT car in my mind, because it's a muscle car, effectively, isn't it? That's what it was made to be, but turning it into a race car like that, it's actually worked quite well, and it's been competitive in GT4s and continues to show that it's got that real racing pedigree behind it.
Yeah, it's a similar story actually with the Ford Mustang, the GT4 there. They've done great jobs in converting that car to an all-out GT4 weapon, and it's done, as you said, really, really well. And the Chevrolet is never really one that you think is going to be like maybe in the IMSA spec, it kind of falls in there, but it just doesn't look the part. But all credit to them, the engineering involved has been nothing short of an absolute masterclass.
Look at this here. This is Yannick Hamer having a go at Cadil in the McLaren. He's going to try and go around the outside. They nearly lean on each other through 1 and 2. Fantastic stuff. Really close racing and a wonderful cutback by Yannick Hamer. Great run out of there. Going up the hill, he's going to be on the outside for the first part of this, then the inside, and getting out of it very quickly there was Cadil. You could say that Hamer squeezed him to the inside a little bit, but look at this. Naj now with a drive-through penalty in the number 42 Aston Martin. That's a real big blow to their race, because they were looking very strong for a great finish here.
Certainly is, and it's absolutely gutting when you get that with 10 minutes left to go in the race, Chaz. That's game over, isn't it? You're going to be all the way down into to 5th or 6th place. It's another thing that pointed out by Michael Hamlet in our ears there, that is the top 5 qualifying was Porsches, and they've all just sort of fizzled out. And again, this is that whole point of being fast in qualifying, meaning absolutely next to nothing in terms of race pace. We go back with our overall battle in GT3's Cormac Ryan, meaning on the back here. Oh, a little bit of contact there. That was a thud into the door there from one of the, I think that was an Aston Martin GT4 that they were passing there.
I think maybe one of the Porsches, one of the two either orange or sort of burnished bronze Porsches that we saw, just making a little bit of a tap there. It looked very close quarters when we jumped on board with him. Then all of a sudden, like you say, that big thud in the side, it was just him sort of saying, I don't want you to overtake that Bentley, really. That's one of my friends. He just sort of, like he was defending him like a Lancaster bomber out the side. But still, they fight on and they continue. But Cormac Ryan Meenan is throwing everything in the kitchen sink at Brabner at the moment, and he's still not able to get through. That's because it takes longer to drive around a Bentley than it does to drive around Suzuka, because of the pure size of the thing. And if I'm honest, you probably can't see any of the apexes that he's coming up to because of how beefy that car is as well. You just get the gearbox shining back at you from inside the rear diffuser. There it is. And it's very, very distracting, especially when it spits flames out the side like that. It almost looks like, you mentioned Mario Kart, it's like he's chucking banana skins out the side of the thing. But it's a great sight to see a car as big and beefy as the Bentley really going the way it should be going.
It's a fantastic sight for sure, as we see them going side by side with some GT4 action. as well. I'm keeping an eye on Igor Ogorodnikov in that Aston down in 9th place. I honestly think he's got the pace, maybe not to get 5th now in the final 9 minutes, but certainly I think he's going to have the pace to get up to 7th place in the next couple laps, so we'll keep an eye on that. Cody Pride bringing the gap down in the lead to just 2.4 seconds, was about 2.3, so it is coming down very, very slightly, but I'll be honest, Luke Whitehead is going to be under a lot of pressure right now. Can you imagine how nervous he is with 10 minutes left to go? That gap is absolutely nothing.
Yeah, he'll be really, really worrying. I mean, the pressure of leading a race is bad enough, but when you've been so sharp and so up at the front end, looking really convincing all the way through, and then suddenly someone breaks through and makes a real charge at you, it puts so much more pressure on top of that, knowing that you're the one driver that could lose the lead near the end of this. We're under 9 minutes from the end now. The gap was 2 seconds last time I saw it on our timing tower. This is the number 56 of Damon Woods, just trying to overtake one of the Chevy Camaros in the Evolution Racing Team McLaren. Gorgeous looking car, as I've said many a time. I really do appreciate the cars and liveries that we get to see. Now look at that, the body language of the way that Pride went round those cars there on the way into Spoon, and the way that he overshot the corner like that really shows that he's pushing this M6 to the limit, but he's got a lot of a lot of time now to look at the back of Whitehead's car in front of him, because there's no machinery between them at the moment. Michael Hamlet's just reported that he got a lot luckier with the traffic, but he's 2.5 seconds down now. So can this pendulum effect that we mentioned with the cars earlier, David, it's happening with the gap now. It's getting bigger then smaller every time the pair of them get to traffic.
And this is what it all comes down to, because he can't get past the traffic just right now. He goes round the outside, does Luke Whitehead, but that's enough to slow him down a little bit. They'll go across the line. What's the gap as they come across now? Look at that. In amongst all that traffic, this is going to be crazy stuff now, because Cody's going to catch these cars at the worst possible time there. 2.2 is the second. Luke going a little bit deep into the first corner here. 7.5 minutes left to go.
Sorry,
and
the
this
BMW
is starting to look a bit scary.
Yeah, the BMW, I thought when it went to the left of shot there, the BMW, I thought was just going a little bit sideways, and then all of a sudden in the back of shot it was facing the wrong way and way off the circuit. So the BMW making sure that it certainly gets out of the way of its fellow manufactured M6 there, really helping Cody Pride. I think that's a bit overcommitted to helping your fellow BMW go well, isn't it, really? Just, he thinks, oh, Cody could win this, right, I'm just going to launch it off the road.
Just send it into your nearest corner post haste. One other thing to keep an eye on, Luke Whitehead is about to come up to about 6-7 GT4 cars in a couple of corners time, so navigating past them going to be very, very difficult. Cody is going to be all onto the back of Luke Whitehead very, very shortly.
I think there's a GT3 Porsche in there as well, you know. Not quite sure which one it is, but Whitehead has gone through it now. Now here is Whitehead, that's a Porsche GT4 just in front, looks down the inside, picks his way past him. Now the M4 getting out of the way as well, the number 28. Back on to the back straight now. This is going to be squeaky bum time for both of them. Now don't forget, what could really help Pride here is the GT3 Porsche going through that traffic as well, although he's already got past two of them. He's going to meet them at 130R as well. That's really not going to help him. And Cody Pride, no, he's been held up a lot there. The gap did go down to 1.8 seconds last time they broke a timing beam. But I think that's going to be a bit bigger now. He needs to get a good run around this GT4 Porsche at the final corner too. It looks like he was going to try and go to the inside. Then he goes to the outside. All of a sudden the favour swings the other way now for Whitehead. Just over 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, certainly. There's 2.5 minutes left to go. We've got yellow flags down at corner one. You've got a car off on the inside there. Luke Whitehead held up a little bit, tries to take the inside line out of first corner. This is starting to get a little bit frantic now. You've got to feel that one mistake, one little hiccup, one little lapse of concentration, and it's going to be tears before bedtime with just 5 minutes left to go. Luke Whitehead though, SDL Esports by Logitech G, trying to go around the outside. You've got Maximilian Walmuth and Tinko van der Velde side by side for P3 and GT3. You could not have scripted this any better, Chaz. This is coming right down to the wire.
It certainly is, and once again a top-notch race by the SimGrid. And a wonderful formula for a great night's entertainment. We hope you've all enjoyed the show so far, everybody, but it is far from over. There may be less than 5 minutes, but trust me, this will be one of the best 5 minutes that we're going to see. We've got Pride just sneaking around the outside of the Audi there. He does take a good line, gets a decent slingshot off the corner. He's going to be able to get past the next GT4 car around 200R. It's not going to be the easiest of things to do, but he needs to just keep his wits about him. You can see the battle, in the bottom right of your screen there. Walmouth and Van der Velde having a great scrap right near the end for that final podium spot. It's gone the way of the Aston Martin at the moment. Down the inside he goes. Oh, there's contact. He's giving him a tap on the way into Spoon. Oh, he went to look down the inside, but maybe the Aston Martin just closed the gap. And to be fair to him, he gives the position back. That's really good sportsmanship there by Van der Velde.
Yeah, like, you never want to take a position like that. He just went in too hot, overcooked it, and other than they've lost a bit of time, they get to redo the battle, get things going again, and pick up where they left off. Great sportsmanship, what you expect to see here at SimGrid. Obviously, it doesn't always happen through other platforms and other races, but yeah, that's kind of sportsmanship we come to know and love here.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we have got an epic community behind it, as I've said multiple times this evening. But everybody just respects the fact that, you know, they're in this race to enjoy it as well. You know, there's no championship or anything riding on this, just bragging rights. And the two of them want to carry on racing. They want to have this battle to the end. You know, there's a lot more enjoyment in fighting for a position with somebody and having a really good door-to-door scrap than just getting past somebody and driving off into the distance. You know, these two will really relish the moment here that they can fight. In the bottom right of your screen, though, you could see, and now the majority of your screen, there you go, there's another car chucking itself off doing a Paris-Dakar impression to make sure he gets out of the way. That was the number 9 Porsche of Knight, and he's certainly off into the night. But your race leader was 2.8 seconds ahead of second place last time they crossed the line. So Cody is getting really held up here, David. It's starting to look like Whitehead could take this. I think he's only going to have one more lap after this as well.
Yeah, I don't think Cody Pride's got the luck or the track position to actually make any of this work, but this could all change, because have a look at Maximilian Walworth, gets a poor run out of the corner there, and Tinko Van der Velde hot on the tail as they go almost side by side out of that corner. Van der Velde is firmly in the slipstream. He's got the run right now. What can he do? It's a little bit of a late braking manoeuvre. Again, he can't do anything with it because he's got GT4 up the inside there. Van der Velde gets a poor exit from the corner. We've got under 2 minutes left to go in this crazy birthday race here. Huge year-round celebrations, and absolutely loving this. This is just, you just don't know what's going to happen here, but I do think that Whitehead now has this secure.
2.3 seconds was the gap last time they crossed the line. We'll have to see what it comes out at next time round. There's contact between the Aston Martin and the Mercedes. That was a very scary moment there. Oh, and you've got to think that Van der Velde maybe went in a little bit hot there. He said, I'm not having that, sunshine. Oh, and hello, a Porsche joins the party. He says, I can do that too, watch me. Chucks it in sideways. But there is yellows everywhere now. We've got them at the exit of the hairpin. That's the 219 car around. And then we've got them at the Casio Triangle as well. But you do have to think that Van der Velde felt a bit hard done by there and chucked his nose down the inside. Now we're into the last minute of this race, David. Race leader looking good so far, Luke Whitehead. Let's see what the gap is to the car behind him. Thank you, Mike. 1.9. It's actually come down even more now. There he is.
Okay, I'm interested in this one. I'll bite.
Oh, Whitehead's got an anthill in front of him. Oh, my life. This could go any which way now, David. Make a prediction. Quick, go.
Everybody dies. Just everybody, server crashes, everybody dies, it's done.
What did you call it before? Death extravaganza. And to be fair,
murder, death, kill.
Whitehead got through that incredibly well. Like, he went round all of them and then down the inside into Spoon Curve. Pride is the one getting held up here, and it looks to me like Whitehead is going to take this. He goes all the way down the back straight now towards 130R. The clock hits 0. And this is a GT4 battle that we've got for position. As you see Whitehead going through 130R for the final time into the Castillo triangle, hard onto the brakes, and it's been an epic performance. He's been there from the very start, right up there, making sure that he stakes his name near the top of this, and it's a win on the SimGrid's anniversary evening for Luke Whitehead. Fantastic drive, awesome stuff from Cody Pride as well for second place. He's very happy with that, wiggles the car around, enjoy. Tinko van der Velde is going to round out the podium here. You could argue with the Punterino. You can clearly hear David's thoughts on that. But still, a great fun race from him. He was in the action all the way through that one, wasn't he, David?
He certainly was, but look, again, that just goes to add and point in that I'd said that he's changed over the past 6 months, but let's turn our attention to GT4's Maciej Malinowski. He didn't disconnect, despite promising us to the contrary that he was going to go and take the win here for GT4, and it's been a dominant performance for Maciej Malinowski here.
Yeah, it's been a very different story in GT4s, hasn't it, with our winner in that class. The GT3s, it was anybody's guess all the way through. There was mistakes and spins and overtakes and all sorts. Gaps fluctuating a lot, traffic affecting it. But Maciej Malinowski has been untouchable tonight. He said, I'm a disconnect in a sec. That is a complete lie. He's going to win the race in a sec, because there he is. And that Porsche has been incredible all the way through. But what a fantastic way to celebrate 1 year of the SimGrid this evening, David, and what a great first time for us to finally work together, mate. It's been epic, hasn't it?
It has, and I've absolutely loved every minute of it. I can't believe we've just done a 90-minute race. It feels like it only started about 10 minutes ago, and you know, I was expecting a bonkers, barmy, messy, scrappy, chaotic race, and to be honest, that wasn't what we got tonight. What we got was a fairly awesome race where we had, about 92 cars started, 91 started, and 69 finished. I mean, all I can say is nice.
But yeah, we got the best of everything in that race. You know, we had pure entertainment. We had the odd bit of contact that maybe wasn't necessary, but it was just good fun racing at the same time. There's no championship or anything on the line here, so no toxicity or anything like that. But we got to see some fantastic conditions, one of the world's very, very best circuits, and some of the very best drivers on the SimGrid absolutely going at it and showing us exactly what they've got. And it's been a real joy to cover it. We'll of course get interviews with drivers in just a moment, but I think we should just take a moment to enjoy these beautiful pictures of the start of the race as 91 cars made their way round the first lap, up the S's and up the hill. And it's a real shame, to be honest, for Spears. I know you won't agree because of the livery, but it's a real shame that Spears didn't come away with a stronger result out of that one, because he was so fast in qualifying. And I mean, even at the start as well, he was just chipping away and making that gap bigger and bigger, wasn't he?
He certainly was, and towards the end it could have been a completely different thing, but I mean, poor Harry Spears. It looked so good from the pole position. The qualifying wasn't to be in the race, and quite honestly, he looked under threat for the majority of the race there.
Yeah, it's been a very entertaining night indeed, and plenty of us could certainly look back on this one and always say, look, that was the best way that you could potentially celebrate 1 year of the SimGrid. But like I say, we'll get driver interviews in just a sec, and I believe that the very first one of them will actually be with our race winner, Luke Whitehead. Will be joining us in a moment, but we just get to see some of these great slow-mo shots. And to be honest, these are some of the conditions where ACC really thrives, isn't it, at night? You know, you've got the beautiful reflections and phenomenal, really realistic lighting, to be fair. And even on board, you know, with the exhaust glow and everything, it looks awesome. Really looks awesome.
It really does. So, yeah, let's bring both our party winners in, GT3 and GT4, Maciej Malinowski and Luke Whitehead. So, right, Chaz, you have company.
We do indeed. Hello, gentlemen, and good evening. And we'll start with you, Luke. Sorry, Maciej. Hello. Luke, it didn't look easy. I mean, it never looks easy, let's face it. But when you were so quick in qualifying and so close to the pole time, did you think that you could potentially squeeze a win out of that this evening?
Definitely. It's always in the back of your mind. I know that going through traffic has always been sort of my specialty. I enjoy overtaking. So, and obviously I'd done SimGrid Sprint Cup and I'd had to come through the field there as well, around the same track. So I had a little bit of experience and knew where all the key spots were, but I didn't really expect it to go as it did. I made a mistake in the first stint. I think it was about 10 minutes in, and then just dropped back, and I was kind of like, okay, I'm going to drop back, and that's put me on the back foot a little bit. But, I think Harry had an incident with a back marker. I think Tinko did as well, and that really helped me out. It really helped me out because those two, I think, were quicker than me, race pace, or at least very, very close. I think we were a little bit quicker than Cody on the measure of things, but he caught up with us at the end and he was really fast. So, yeah, I couldn't really be happy with the outcome. I got really unlucky with some of the back markers in the end, but yeah, just kept out of trouble, and I think that's what a lot of other people didn't do today.
Yeah, that's it. When you've got so many cars out there, survival is key. It's one of the main things that you need to really think about. But talk to me about the little off in your first stint there. It's often not sort of worth focusing on what caused the off or why it happened, what you can do about sort of avoiding it in future, but it's how you keep your head in the game and bounce back from something like that to then go and win, isn't it? That's the important thing, like how you overcome it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, early in the race, it was a silly mistake to make, but I just thought, there's a long race to go, and I was in a good position because I had Maximilian right in front of me, and I had, the two Mercs of Tinko and Harry up the front, so I knew that we'd be able to catch them because they'd sort of be creating a path, so to speak. So I knew I was in a decent position, and then of course I didn't really expect to have that much of an advantage going through the field. I think I caught Tinko about 4 seconds in a couple of laps, and then obviously Harry had his incident, and then once I got clear of Tinko in the pits, I think, or out of the pits, I think it just spaced out. I don't really know what happened to Tinko. 1 minute he was 4 tenths behind, then he was 2 seconds behind, and then he wasn't even in seconds. So yeah, I feel a little bit for him. But yeah, I'm not really sure what happened, but I can't complain from my end.
Well, it certainly it went well in the end, you could say. But I mean, talk to us about Cody's advancement towards the end there, because sometimes the gap would come down by about a second a lap, other times it'd go up by about half a second. Did you think that eventually he'd rein you in, but it'd be too late, or did you think you could keep the gap eventually?
I mean, I wasn't sure because initially in the, when I came out the pits and when Cody came out the pits, I was pulling away. I got the gap out to about 7.5, 8 seconds from about 4 when, we both made our pit stop. So initially I was pulling away, and then I just got really unlucky with the back markers. I kept catching them in sector 1, and that is probably the worst place you can catch them, and at the start of sector 2 as well. And the problem was I wasn't just catching one, I was catching whole trains. The GT4s somehow managed to stay really in a train formation for the whole race, and that shocked me quite a lot, obviously with the exception of Maciek, who absolutely drove away from everyone. But yeah, it was very difficult and a little bit nerve-wracking because I know how quick Cody is, and I know how quick that M6 is, especially in a straight line, which definitely helped him, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch the M6 because I mean it's a bit of an older car now, obviously, especially compared to the Mercedes you were driving this evening, but it's still got the performance where it needs it. It can really throw up a good surprise sometimes and be a right beast of a machine. As I said before, it's a shame to see it getting replaced by the M4 in coming seasons. But the Mercedes looked strong with you at the helm tonight, and it was a very, very solid performance. What sort of series and obviously other competitions can we expect to see similar performances from you then going forward, Luke?
Well, I'm participating in the SimGrid Sprint Cup Season 4 with Hamada Akizi once again, like last season. We're choosing a different car, so we're going a little bit into the unknown, but it's all part of the challenge. And we're trying to find that extra edge every single race we go out. I'm also doing SRO Esports, racing under SDL Esports as well. And yeah, just anything new that comes up and any SimGrid events that come up, I think they've got some stuff in the works, and I'm very excited to see what they can come up with because I really enjoy racing with them. It's brilliant. The driving standards for the majority are really, really good. The best in the business, really. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Definitely. Well, we certainly look forward to it, Luke. And obviously, before we let you go this evening, is there anybody that you'd like to give a quick shout out to while you're here?
So first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to Red One Messaoud, my teammate, who gave me that awesome setup. I'd never driven this car before today around this track, so I was jumping into the deep end just a little bit, and he gave me some little tips on how to get this car, get the maximum out of this car, and gave me some rocket ship setup. So massive thank you to him. Massive thank you to the guys over at SDL Esports, Kevin Leon and Hamada Akizi. They've been a massive help in the past few days and past couple of weeks with SRO in particular. I'd like to say a massive thank you as well to everyone who tuned in watching. I know my mum and dad are watching in the lounge right now, and I know I've got friends on the phone watching as well, so I appreciate all you guys tuning in. I hope everyone watching at home enjoyed the race. It was certainly exciting from my end.
Well, to be fair, it's great to hear that your parents are watching as well, so good evening to you. And we certainly do hope you've enjoyed the show. It's great to have the support behind you as well, and then you can go and discuss that with them and say, oh, did you see when I did this, or did you see when this happened? It's always great to have that as a racer, so that's stunning, absolutely stunning. But amazing performance tonight, Luke. Really enjoyable to watch, and have yourself a very, very good evening. We'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much. Also, one last thing. Well, thank you for SimGrid. Thank you to SimGrid for organising such an awesome, spectacular event. Like, you don't get these events often, and it just shows how they've been going for a year. They're really progressing, going from strength to strength. It's brilliant, pushing outside the box. So thank you to them.
Cracking stuff. Nicely said, mate. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
Take care.
Cheers. Brilliant stuff. And now the very, very patient Mashek. Hello, mate. How are you? You must have enjoyed this evening as well. What a drive.
Thank you very much. Hello. I enjoyed driving very, very much today. The race was awesome. From GT4 race up front for me was a bit lonely, but I just enjoyed, driving the car, enjoyed the event itself, and enjoyed being overtaken by other GT3s. I was just enjoying managing traffic, let's say. Yeah. So it was super fun.
Well, that's it. When there's always something going on around you like that. We've seen a few races before, admittedly, where if you've just got one class of car and it's not the biggest field in the world, if all the drivers are that close in pace that if there is a runaway leader, they don't actually catch back up and lap people. It can get a little bit dull if you're out front. It's exciting to win and everything, but from the driver's perspective, it might not be the most entertaining race. But in a situation like this, where you're lapping GT4 cars, you've got GT3s coming through as well. It's certainly, it's exciting for us to watch in how you manage the situation as well. Did it feel like it was a stressful environment at the time, or did you just purely enjoy it?
I just purely enjoyed it. From time to time I also need to practice managing the traffic, special awareness, and so on. So races like those are great for those kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. Were there stressful moments? Well, from time to time there is a moment where some car will do something that you don't expect. But of course, that's part of the game.
Yeah, for sure. That's just motorsport, isn't it? You can't always predict what other drivers are going to do. But the Porsche looked quite planted around there tonight. How did it feel around Suzuka? Because it's usually a circuit that if you have any weakness in a setup, it really picks it out. But it looked really solid.
Oh, I know nothing about the setup. I just loaded up aggressive preset. It worked great. So
fair play. You could say that again. It certainly worked. Now, the team name. I'm a disconnect in a sec. It didn't come true, which, for your sake, David and I were very happy about. Are you one for usual disconnection problems?
Yeah, that's me. That's me, the one with a lot of disconnects. Although recently it got a lot better with a newer internet, but up until last month, the name was definitely living up to its.
Well, you've passed the baton on to our wonderful Mike Yao tonight, who disconnected briefly near the start of the stream. And to be fair, it's a miracle that I've made it all the way through this broadcast as well, because my internet is some of the worst that you can get in the UK by the look of it. But it's good to see that you didn't have that problem tonight. Obviously, you're a name that we've seen in multiple series before, but just for anybody that is watching that doesn't know, what other series can we expect to see you in going forward here on the SimGrid?
So here on SimGrid, I and Michael Tauscher, we signed up for Sprint Cup Season 4. So there we're gonna be driving also car 992 and also a Porsche. So that's for SimGrid, and I actually don't really have any other leagues planned yet. But for SimGrid, that's gonna be a Sprint Cup. Probably if new AOR season is announced, that's gonna be also probably there for me.
Yeah. Well, it'll be good to see how you get on in that championship here on the SimGrid as well. But thank you very much for joining us, mate. Before we let you go, do you want to give a quick thanks to anybody on the stream?
I don't know, not really. I mean, thank you very much for SimGrid overall for creating such an amazing event, for creating all those races, because it's amazing organizations and they're always pushing forward with new amazing events. So that was a great anniversary today.
It certainly was, mate. Nicely said. Well, great to speak to you, Magic. Thank you very much for jumping in, and we'll hopefully see you again very, very soon.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers. And with one final interview, after a great night of racing, one of the people that are, well, people that is, man that is, I'm not doing a good job of this, David. Michael Hamlet is an absolute star. And, I mean, to be fair, over the last 6 months, we've not spoken as much as I'd like to. It's just me moaning about invoicing and now I'm getting it wrong. But to be honest, Michael, you've had a hell of a ride with the SimGrid since day one. You know, it's just been an epic voyage. How's it been from your perspective, and how do you see things now at the moment?
It's still a little bit surreal times, to be honest with you. You know, I mean, this time last year, launching the SimGrid, you know, I think back to what would have been February, March last year, when we first had our first COVID lockdown here in the UK, and you know, I hadn't met David Perrell. I hadn't, you know, there was no idea of the SimGrid, not in my mind anyway. You know, I was running a community called GZR. It was just something I ran in my spare time, and just a very small community that originated from Project Cars 2. It was amazing actually to see so many racers still who used to race with me and in the GZR days were still on the grid tonight and still participating in our events and championships. And I met Dave in late April, early May. We discussed the idea of SimGrid, and then a year ago today we launched it, and the growth since then has been mind-blowing, and something that I can't even fathom at times. You know, we had the sudden growth when we announced, which we knew would happen with, you know, a lot of the audience from the Coach Dave Academy would come over. We knew that would happen, but to grow from what was a community in GZR size of about, I want to say maybe 700-800 members, we're just a little bit short of 18,000 now, which is I mean, that's the growth of sim racing as well, and you know, through COVID. But it's been the most incredible year, and I'm so thankful for all of the drivers who race with us, you know, and all of the team who work with me and do work for us in the SimGrid in so many different areas of the operation. Stewards, admin, the writers for the articles, the photographers, the commentators, you guys, Mike and Steve, and the broadcasting. There's so many different elements to the SimGrid operation, and everyone works so hard, and it's just amazing what we've been able to achieve.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, you know, every series that we see, I think as well, one thing that people need to understand when they watch the broadcasts is that they see this incredible talent of obviously the top split that we broadcast, but in a lot of events, you know, you're getting 5 to even almost 10 splits full of racers, because so many people just love being a part of the SimGrid. And you know, half of them, they don't care if their race isn't broadcast. They don't care if they're in split 8 or split 7 or what. They're here to enjoy the racing and get some fantastic motorsport out of what they can, with a great community around them, and race with phenomenal people. And I tip my hat to you guys, because you've done an incredible thing with this community, and it's still growing now. There's constantly more and more people coming into it, realizing how great it is, and then us as broadcasters and commentators, and obviously you get to see every aspect of it all from behind the scenes. We get to enjoy this incredible array of talent that we get, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, the talent that we have coming into the SimGrid and just into sim racing in general is it's amazing to see. I love that we can see the improvement from drivers. You see drivers who, they're making their way up through the splits in certain competitions. Maybe they're racing in split 4 one season, and then they're going to qualify for the next available season, and they're a split higher, and you see people signing up for joining proper esport teams or forming teams of their friends. We even have now on our Discord a drivers and teams marketplace, where both drivers and teams can go and advertise their availability. Teams can go in there and say we're looking for drivers, and this is what we want to achieve as a team, and drivers can do the same, saying that they're looking for a team to achieve whatever their goals are. And for me personally, my vision is to really see sim racing become, at the very top end, a lot more professionalized than it is now. I want to see a lot more organization within teams, and really start pushing the boundaries and the highest levels of sim racing esports, which I don't think has happened enough, not in the ACC arena anyway. So I really want to keep trying to push that, and in the same breath, have a really easy introduction for those who are just finding their feet in the sim racing world, whether that be through a love of motorsport or not. And that's why we've developed systems like daily racing, and which is like a slightly upgraded version of public lobbies, if you like. It's a bit more organized, and there's a community behind it. This is what we want to achieve: a welcoming introduction for those who are new and finding their feet, but also this incredible platform for those who really want to professionalize and almost try and see if there's some way to make a career out of this.
Well, that's it. It appeals to everybody, and it's exactly what you guys are doing at the moment, and you are absolutely nailing it. And to be fair, mate, you are really the cement that holds a lot of it together. So for how busy you are all of the time, I honestly tip my hat to you, mate. And it's a pleasure to work with you and everybody else behind the scenes as well. But thank you very much for hopping on to have a chat with us, Michael. Thank you very much for everything you always do, mate, and all the information you give us. It is definitely massively appreciated from not just me. I know I speak on behalf of David as well in saying thank you for not just tonight, but everything. And of course, before we let you go as well, you're going to get the same question as the others. Do you want to give anybody a quick shout out?
Of course, yeah. I want to shout out to my broadcaster Mike, working with me every event night. Listening to me shout at him to show which cameras. And a shout out to you guys for trying to ignore me in your ear. Shout out, of course, to all our drivers, some 18,000 of them who get involved here and there, some getting involved in everything, some just finding their feet. But without those drivers, we need those drivers. So big shout out to them, and of course all of my team, from the members like Dave and Josh and James Parker from the Coach Dave Academy, to all of my stewards, my admins, and the article writers, the media team, everyone deserves a huge shout out. It's a huge amount of effort we put into this, and it's so fantastic we can share everything that we do with everyone.
Beautifully said, mate, and I echo that. Everyone does a mega job, and it's a joy to be part of it. So thank you very much, Michael, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, guys.
Cracking stuff. Well, David, I'm almost sad. It's been an emotional one tonight. There's been a lot of joy, a little bit of murder sprinkled on it as well, like some chocolate flakes, but it's just been fantastic racing and a real highlight and a great celebration, hasn't it?
Yeah, what was widely tipped as a bit of fun and frivolity actually turned out to be one of the best races I think we've had in recent memory on the SimGrids. And if anything, it serves as a wonderful beacon of the type of race and the type of performance you get put on at the SimGrids. And if anybody hasn't already taken part in whether it's the daily races or the championships that are there, head over to simgrid.com, get yourself involved. There's the wonderful length and breadth, and not just that. Now it's great to see so many other communities, Chaz, coming on board and using the SimGrid as their platform. So if you have a community that you do races with and you want to have that organisation, that backing behind it, get in touch with them and get the guys here to take all of that workload off of it, and you guys can just enjoy the races. A huge thank you to our commercial partners as well, to Coach Dave Academy for all the support from day one. If you need any esports developed ACC setups, head over there. But more importantly, get that advantage of that one-to-one sim coaching as well from the likes of David Perel and from Nick Foster. There was a cracking little funny video on YouTube actually where one of my favourite sim racing YouTubers pretended to be a newbie with Nick Foster in that coaching, and what to see how long it would take him. To Thrustmaster as well, they've got the brand new TGT2 out in line with the Gran Turismo at the Olympic Games, and again, your boy here has the T300 RS. Very much love it. It's the best wheel I've ever had.
And I have a TX as well, a really beefy bit of kit, and they are, like I say, they're just, and they feel phenomenal. But not only that, some of the wheel rims and things you can get as well, they really do feel the part. They're fantastic for the money as well, so I would always recommend them. And to be honest, David, big shout out to you as well, mate. It's been a really fun evening. It's been great to finally commentate together on something. It's been a long time coming, and to be honest, I've really enjoyed it, so thank you very, very much indeed. Thank you also to Mike Yao for another wonderful broadcast. Apologies for the connection issues earlier, everyone, but we know you all understand it's the internet. It's very, very fickle indeed. But unfortunately, that is all we have time for this evening. Again, thanks David Christie for being an absolute star. Don't forget to follow him, and of course Camber Media, and look out for his adventures as well in the BRSCC City Car Cup, which he's racing in this year, supporting British GT at Donington Park very soon, no less. I've been Chaz Draycott. Thank you very much for putting up with me, for listening to me, and of course for watching the stream. We hope you've had a fantastic time this evening, and happy birthday to the SimGrid. It's one of very many years to come. But as for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.